22-year-old Ashley McKinney is suing her former live-in boyfriend, Bill Bates, for the return of furniture and an assault.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 253 on the calendar, the matter of McKinney versus Bates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. McKinney, you moved into the defendant's home, and at the time the two of you were involved in a relationship. That didn't work out. You allege all kinds of things and allege that he owes you money. Mr. Bates says not only doesn't he owe you any money, but you were supposed to pay your own way when you moved in with him. You did not do that. And in addition, when you left, you took some property of his, including a dog that you had given him. He has a counterclaim. So, when did you move in with Mr. Bates?
January of 2010.
What do you think Mr. Bates owes you for?
I purchased this table, a dining room table, and dishes and all of that stuff.
Not all of that stuff. This is a court, Ms. McKinney. You purchased a table. How much did you pay for the table, and from whom did you purchase it?
I paid $598.11, and I got it at Big Lots.
Mr. Bates.
Yes.
I'm interested in a dining room table for $600. Who bought it?
She technically bought it.
I don't want to know technically. That's where we are. We're in a court.
She purchased it.
And where is it now?
In my house.
Is she living in your house now?
No, she's not.
She gets her table back.
She owes me.
Just a second. She doesn't owe you anything until I say she owes you anything.
Okay.
Do we understand each other?
We do. Yes.
Perfect. What else did you purchase?
I purchased dishes and...
Dishes. Who did you purchase dishes from?
Target.
How much were they?
2 sets for $60 each, $120.
What do you need 2 sets of dishes? You keep kosher?
Because we have people come over, and a set is only for 4 people.
Oh, you mean 2 small sets?
Yes.
2 sets of dishes usually. First to something else. Just wanted to know. What? It was a joke. Nobody told me. I'm allowed to amuse myself. I've been here 15 years. Okay, so 2 sets of dishes for $120. Are the dishes in your house?
Yes.
They go back to her with the table in 5 days.
Half of them are broken.
That's not my problem.
He stepped on them and broke
When?
them because I wanted them back.
When?
About a month before I moved out.
It's not true.
Just a second. A month before you moved out. Now, after he stepped on the dishes, did you make up?
Yes.
Then I'm not interested.
Okay.
What else?
A bunk bed for my son.
Bunk bed. She purchased a bunk bed?
For both of our kids.
I don't care. Did she purchase a bunk bed?
Yes, and gave it to me.
Get a bed for your own kid.
She gave it to me.
No, she didn't. Get a bed for your own kid.
I had one.
Good. She's getting the bunk bed back, along with the table.
I don't agree.
I don't care whether you agree or not. This is not a popularity contest.
Right.
This is a court.
It is.
Perfect. Anything else?
Snow pants that I paid for. They were $150.
Snow pants.
Yeah, they ended up getting left behind when I grabbed all my clothes.
Well, so what do you want from me? Go buy new snow pants. What's next?
Punitive damages for harassment.
Do you know that if I actually got punitive damages from people for harassing me, I would be a very rich person?
It was harassment and abuse, domestic violence.
You have 5 minutes. Less. 3.
We were going out for a night and we were discussing sexual acts and we were joking around and having a fun time. And after we went out, he got drunk and belligerent and started going crazy. And he threw my keys across the room. He pushed me down on the couch. He pinned me to the bed. He was yelling in my face. He was this close to my face, screaming and yelling at me. And I was just sitting there crying, asking him to stop. And he went to go light a cigarette in the room. And that's when I freaked out because I didn't know what he was going to do with that cigarette.
Why'd you leave?
He wouldn't let me get to my phone. He was holding me in the house.
No, I wasn't holding in the house.
He was holding me in the house.
He went to the other room to get a cigarette.
In the living room, and the bedroom is in the back of the house. There's no way to get out of the bedroom.
Keep going.
He had my phone.
Keep going.
He was in the front of the
Keep
house.
Going. Come on. Izzy, let's go.
He was holding me down to the bed. He went and then he went to go light the cigarette, and I freaked out because I didn't know what he was going to do with it. I thought he was going to burn me.
I don't care what you thought. What did you do?
I yelled and told him to stop, to not light the cigarette. And then he kept me in the room, kept my phone from me, wouldn't let me leave.
And then what did you do?
I said, please, can I just go to bed?
What did you do?
In the morning, I text my mom.
So you went to sleep?
Yes. I waited for him to pass out and I went to sleep.
You went to sleep?
Yes. I had no way to get out of the house.
Just a second. You went to sleep. According to what you just said to me, you waited for him to pass out. That's what you just said. I waited for him to pass out, and then I went to somebody. I would get out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I had no way to. He threw my keys. I didn't have my car. My phone wasn't working because he had broken it.
Well, you're very fortunate that you're here. You should have left 3 o'clock in the morning, gone to a neighbor, knocked at a door, say I'm in danger, somebody's trying to kill me. Do you understand? Don't fetch about it later. You went to sleep. You had a fight, you went to sleep. All right. Next.
I have a witness that was there when I picked her up, when she came and picked me up that morning.
How did you get your witness to come and pick you up?
Because
I asked you a simple question. How did you get the witness to come and pick you up?
when we left the next morning to go get the kids, I sent my mom a text message because I got my phone to work, and I said, come pick me up in 45 minutes with a truck. Don't text back. I have to delete this. After I sent that to her, he took my phone, held it out the window, was driving over 100 miles an hour, acting like he was going to crash my car.
You want to know something? 3 o'clock in the morning, you should have left. Gotten in touch with somebody and said, I'm in danger, I'm leaving. Do you understand?
I couldn't.
Well, that's what you say. If I felt as if my life was in danger and the perpetrator of that alleged danger passed out, according to you used the words, he passed out, I would have gotten out of that house. Now, let's get to your answer. Answer. Ashley never paid me her share of rent or utilities, and all the furniture she wants back belongs to me. Not true. Belongs to her. And she took your dog. Now, tell me about the dog. When did she take the dog?
This is just before Christmas. When she moved out, she took the dog.
Very good. You're getting smart.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm paying half for the table. I'm paying half for the rent. I was paying for everything. Yeah.
And later today,
Get your what back and forth to school?
My daughter.
How old is your daughter?
5.
You have this 5-year-old child with him?
Oh, no way. No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ashley McKinney says former live-in boyfriend Bill Bates owes for the return of furniture and an assault. Bill is countersuing for utility bills, child care costs, and pet expenses.
Now, did you love the dog?
Yes, I loved it. My son loved it.
When for the first time did you go to the police and say she stole your dog?
I never went to the police.
We're now, sir, almost in October.
Yes, we are.
That's almost a year ago. If I woke up and found that somebody stole my dog, I would have been at the police the next day.
5 months ago.
Listen, you have a son?
I do.
You have a son?
Yes, I
You
do.
love him?
Yes, I do.
If you went into his bedroom and found him missing one day, would it take you 5 months to report that to
No.
the police? You would go right away.
Right away.
Right. Well, some people feel that way about their pets, sir. So I'm not interested in a counterclaim that's asking for a dog back after 5 months. Do we understand each other?
Well, it's not necessarily the dog. I mean, I spent for the vet bills on that dog and then supplies.
I don't care. It's irrelevant
She took
to me.
the dog away from me
It's
and my son.
irrelevant to me,
There's
sir.
nothing I could...
If you wanted the dog back and it's your dog,
Sure,
then you
she
should
moved
have...
out.
I'm speaking. Do you
If
see my
she-
mouth moving? If you wanted the dog back, and I would have entertained your application to get the dog back,
Right.
if she took the dog September 15th,
Right.
and you said, she stole my dog, and I love that dog, and she gave it to me as a gift, I want it back, I would have heard you.
This is 5 months now, and she's asking for furniture. So, I mean, regardless of the dog or the furniture...
No, there's a difference between
No.
furniture and a dog.
Well, it's a
In
gift.
my mind, there's a difference.
Well,
but you're just
yeah,
like there's a
but it's
difference.
still
You see
fine.
my mouth moving? Just like there's a difference between furniture and your son.
That's
There's a
correct.
different feeling. You don't love a table, and she doesn't love her snow pants.
Actually, I do love the table.
You
It's
do
an
love
awesome table.
You do love the table?
Yeah, it's a
You love
beautiful
the table
table.
more or less than your son?
Oh, I love my son more.
Right. Okay. She gets back the table. You don't get back the dog. Now, let's talk about what she owes you for rent, because that's what she says. She never paid her share of her rent or utilities.
She actually moved in October of 2009.
Yes.
She stayed with me rent-free
For how long?
for 7 months.
Just a minute. And was she supposed to pay you in October?
Yes.
Did she pay you?
No.
Did you evict her?
No.
She stayed with you in November.
Yes.
Did she pay you?
No.
Did you evict her?
No.
Did she stay with you in December?
Yes.
Did she pay you?
I see where you're going.
You got where I'm going? You got where I'm going? It's over. She gets her table and her bunk beds, the unbroken dishes, and if you want to, wrap the unbroken dishes in her snow pants if you have them, within 5 days. It's finished.
But-
Over. Done.
You don't understand what I've done for this girl.
Listen. You
beat her up?
Listen to me. Just a second. You don't understand me, sir. I don't care.
I can see that.
I
but
don't care. I'm not giving her the money that she wants. Now, let me see how much money she wants. $5,000 because she had a fight. She's not getting any money.
Right.
She's getting her furniture back. Because she spent her money on it, she's taking her furniture back. Because that's reasonable. But if you actually had a contract with her for rent and utilities,
I didn't
and
bring
she
the
lived
lease.
and she lived with you for 7 months and shared a bed with you. And as she's discussed, having cute little sex talk before this argument took place, I'm not interested, quite frankly, in rent.
Well, she was only eligible to buy those things for the place because I paid for the rent. If I didn't pay for the rent or the bills, she wouldn't have been able to buy the table or any of that. So technically, I'm paying half for the table. I'm paying half for the rent. I was paying for everything. Yeah, I know.
5 days. That's all. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Oh, you're excused. Let's step out.
we were planning on having a long future together,
I bought her a wedding ring, actually.
and it just kind of went downhill.
I'm stuck with the wedding ring, and she gets the furniture.
Be smart about who I choose to be with.
Well, I'm telling you what, next time she comes to my work for a booty call, I'm gonna tell her no way.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bloom versus Colby. Step forward.
Donald Bloom is suing his daughter's ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Michael Colby, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Michael claims the money was a gift.
Mr. Bloom, this young man used to be your daughter's boyfriend. Is your claim you loaned him money for a car? He paid you back some. There is a balance on the loan, and he and your daughter are no longer a couple. Mr. Colby says that you did in fact give him money to buy a car. It was just that. It was a gift. He did in fact give you back some money for some bizarre reason, but he said there was never an agreement to pay you back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Colby?
Currently, right now, nothing.
Who are you living with?
My parents.
Why are you laughing at that? Is this your father?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
How old are you?
23.
Have you always lived with your parents?
For like the past probably 3 years.
Where did you live prior to that?
On my own.
For how long?
From when I was 17 to about 3 years ago. So,
And what kind of work were you doing from 17 to 20?
warehouse production.
And when was the last time you were employed?
About a year ago.
Month.
May.
May of 2009?
Yes, ma'am.
And you haven't worked since May of 2009?
Yeah.
When did Mr. Bloom turn over this money to you for a car? In what month?
September
Of what year?
09.
And at that time you weren't working?
Nope.
No is the answer.
No, ma'am.
What did you need a car for?
Transportation. Look for a
For what?
job. Get my daughter back to school.
Get your
home.
what?
For what?
Get your what back and forth to school?
My daughter.
How old is your daughter?
5.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you start giving him back this gift?
I don't remember when I started paying him back the money, but the reason why I paid him back that 5 was I felt guilty for it.
What made you stop feeling guilty?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donald Bloom says his daughter's ex-boyfriend, Michael Colby, owes for a loan to buy a car.
You have this 5-year-old child with him?
No way, no. No.
And with whom does your daughter live?
Half with her mom and half with me.
Well, half with you. We mean half with your father. Because you don't pay rent, because you don't work.
When I was with her, I was paying rent. I was paying $500 to my parents.
Well, how could you pay $500
Because I was
to your parents?
working up until the time I broke my hand.
When?
I broke my hand in May of 09.
Why?
So for the last year, from May of 09, well, certainly until September of 09, when he gave you money to buy a car, you weren't working.
No.
You say he was working.
He was working for
Where was he
Stanley
working?
Steamer,
Full-time or part-time?
full-time.
How long had he worked for Stanley Steamer at the time you gave him the car money?
I loaned him the money in September of 09, so he was working. I mean, my daughter met him about May. I don't know how long prior
May of
to that.
09.
Yes.
Now we together, sir? So at the time that you
Yes.
got this money from Mr. Bloom, you were working for Stanley Steamer.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what Mr. Bloom says, because he also said that you were giving him back $200 every couple of weeks
Correct.
towards this loan, which is why he gave you $2,500, and all that's left is $2,050.
As far as we talked, it was a gift. He never loaned me the money. It was always a gift.
Well, when did you start giving him back this gift?
I don't remember when I started paying him back the money, but the reason why I paid him back that 5 was I felt guilty for it. So
And when did you stop feeling guilty?
when I stopped paying him, probably a few months ago.
What made you stop feeling guilty?
Because in a way, I felt like I didn't own the money, and then
Okay. So in a way, you felt as if you didn't owe him the money.
Yeah.
Tell me what kind of way you felt that you didn't owe him the money.
because his daughter had stated she was going to help pay back the money, and it was, like I said, it was just a gift. Just
No, don't tell
simply
me it was just a
so-
gift. That's a conclusion. So you didn't actually feel as if you actually owed him the money, even though you had paid him back some of the money, because his daughter said she was going to help pay back some of the money, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the conversation you had with your then girlfriend.
In the beginning, I didn't want to take the money. I was leery on it. She stated
To you?
yes to me to take the money. She would help me pay it back.
Great. Take the money. I will help you pay the gift back, right? No. I'm trying to understand you, Mr. Colby. Take the money, and if you have a problem, I'll help you pay the gift back, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to pay something back, then that's a loan. Do you understand that, Mr. Colby?
Yeah.
All right. So, I know I was making fun before when I said, paying back this gift. But if you're going to pay something back, it's a loan.
It's true.
Why did you bring your father here?
Because he's been through it the whole time. All the
through what the whole
harassing
time?
and text messages. Don's the one that got him involved in it. When it was between me and him, he should have never got my dad involved on it.
What was between the two of you?
The money that he had given me.
And you think he would have given you any money, sir, if it wasn't for his daughter?
Probably.
I wouldn't
not.
give you a quarter. And the reason he got your father involved is because you're 23 years old. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Almost the same age as his foolish daughter. And he figured, listen, I need my money back. So since Mr. Colby doesn't live on his own, has no job, he's got a 5-year-old child, his parents cover for him, so they let him move into the house. His parents take care of probably part of the time his daughter, something that they didn't sign on for because you were a little bit stupid. So he figured he'd contact your father to see if maybe your father could be inspired to help pay off this debt. What state do you live in?
Phoenix, Arizona.
They give money for deposits on bottles in Phoenix?
I think. I don't know.
I mean, that's the way of making money. Go out and collect bottles and turn in the money. Go in there, big machines and supermarkets where you cash in the bottles and they give you back $5. You have to do something, Mr. Colby.
It's kind of hard out there. There's no jobs, so I'm trying. Can't say I'm
There
not
are
trying.
jobs
so.
out there. They may not be jobs that you like.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't. There's really none. Not even McDonald's hiring out there. Where do you expect us to work at?
What happened to the job you had?
If you're 23 years old,
I
sir,
ended up losing it, sir, because I broke my hand.
Listen to
Wasn't
me.
allowed to go back.
Don't talk to him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
You have an option if you're a single person and your parents are foolish enough to continue to subsidize you at your age, but you have a 5-year-old child. Who supports that child?
They helped me with it, but when I have a job, when I had a job,
You don't have a
supported it.
job now.
So,
And a 5-year-old child needs 3 meals a day and snacks.
That's fine. There's
and,
food in there.
and school and clothes
School.
and medical care and everything else. So my question to you, Mr. Colby, is who supports your daughter?
her mom and my parents helped me
Just a
with it.
second. Her mom. Does her mom work?
Part-time job.
Then her mom doesn't support her child. Then probably the state of Arizona is supporting your child.
No.
The good citizens of the state of Arizona. So it seems to me you have to find some way to earn money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. You owe him $2,050. That's all. Step out. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Loan somebody money, they should pay it back in a reasonable time and manner.
Because I feel I don't owe money. His daughter lived with me
It had been a year since we made the agreement,
for 3 months. So I should take care of all of it. So
and he had made 2 payments, and that was it.
I needed a car. He offered to give me the money, and so I took it.
Because he just didn't feel he had to pay me.
Parties on Lombard versus Romano. Step forward, please.
33-year-old Lauren Lonborg is claiming her former lover and business partner Charles Romano assaulted her. She also says he owes her money for bailing him out of jail and for a computer.
Order. All rise. Judges number 61 on the calendar in the matter of Lonborg versus Romano. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
I've read your papers and I'm trying to decipher them. A little complicated. What I gather, Ms. Longborg, is that you were both in a romantic and business relationship with the defendant.
That's correct.
How long was the romantic relationship?
We started dating in February of '95 and
And when did you go into business together?
June 30th, July 1st of '95.
And that was a pool business?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, sometime in '95, the defendant was using your van.
Right.
Stopped for speeding. He had some outstanding warrants from tickets. And you bailed him out.
Right.
How much did you pay for the bail?
For that one in July, it was $2,050.70.
All right, let's take that one first, sir. Tell me about that incident with the van.
I got pulled over. It was towed due to lack, no license. I wasn't
No, you had no license.
Correct. I had no license. Okay. I don't think I was arrested that day. I'm not sure. I did tail the van. We got it back. But as I was taking care of tickets, since I had a lot of failure to appears, and these tickets were 5 years old, they decided they wanted to hold on to me when I went in to take care of them. And that's when the bail was. That's when she would bail me out.
Bailed you out and paid the tickets.
Right.
Did you pay back?
Of course. Yes, ma'am.
Let me see.
Okay. Well, through our business relationship, Mrs. Longmore ran the business and was paying herself back for many other things, but also the tickets. I do have the business books here, which is in her writing.
Your Honor,
Just a minute. You say she was paying herself back through writing checks.
To herself, correct. Marked loan payment.
Is that correct?
this was a personal loan guaranteed by him to pay me back from his personal funds, not through the business.
Well, did you take any money out of the business other than your salary?
I have not taken a penny out of the business for a salary. I loaned the business initially $4,000 to buy the first route.
Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Okay.
$25,000 in January of '96 to buy a second route. The loan payments that are coming out of this checkbook for the business were for the purchase of prior pool businesses. Has nothing to do with his personal legal problems.
There came a point in time, I assume, when the two of you romantically separated, and I assume at that time
There was some disagreements. He's a very hostile and angry person and very manipulative. He lived in my home with his children. In my home, I cared for them and paid for them, and I did many things for him. And he did some things for me, helped me take care of my daughter. And I had a zero tolerance for drug use, and he came home one time after he'd gotten stoned with his buddies, and I had packed up all his stuff to move him out, and when he came home, he just packed it, he just moved it right back in and said, never do that again. So that was October of '95. So I've been patiently trying to resolve these conflicts and working on it, and it's just been very difficult. He's very manipulative, and he knows my vulnerabilities, and he presses on them.
were you paid back all of the money that you put into the business?
No, ma'am.
You told me it's about $29,000 that you put into the
Plus the
business.
van, right?
Plus the van.
Which he sold.
Did you sell the van?
Yeah, yeah. She signed the pink slip in a bill of sale. It was paid for. I didn't sell it. I traded it in. I bought a pool truck.
I changed the name after the assault, where he beat me up.
When was that?
This
the assault?
particular assault was December 19th of '96.
Was he arrested for this assault on you?
He was, yes. And he made bail. And the person that bailed him out that time got paid back within 10 days.
What happened with that case?
He pled guilty on June 16th, and he got a 1 year and 5 days suspended sentence, 3 years probation.
Is that correct, sir?
Here, if you want to know what I got, I'll give it to you right here.
How'd you know? I want to know if you pled guilty. You don't have to look in your papers for that.
I didn't assault her, first of all.
You didn't assault her?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
But you pled guilty to it.
Yeah. He beat me up 3 times within a 15-hour period. He made bail and went right to my apartment and beat me up again, and that's when he stole the van the first time.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect.
There's pictures and everything. It's
incorrect.
There's a huge case down there.
Mr. Romano,
Yes.
you pled guilty to the assault. Is that correct?
No, those charges I don't know what I pled to. It wasn't those original charges. I was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, which I was.
What was the deadly weapon?
Supposed to be a bat.
A baseball bat.
My child's bat.
No, it's a Louisville Slugger
Where did he hit you with it?
on the leg right here.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You have to have witnesses in order to establish that to me.
Phone numbers. Give him a call.
You give him a call. That's not my job. My job is to hear this case, sir.
And later today,
Miss Marion, you can collect cans in the street and get $15 a week. You have to work and earn $15 a week because you have an obligation.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Former business partners and lovers, Lauren Lonborg and Charles Romano, are fighting over business debts, a computer, and bail money.
Miss Longborn, right now I have on your side $2,060.70. Now I'm going to hear about this cross complaint. Mr. Romano, you are cross complaining against her in the amount of $2,100 because you say she wrote letters to your accounts.
Yeah, she wrote.
So let me hear about that.
She wrote a letter, pretty nasty letter.
I have the letter.
Yeah, I've got a copy also. Pretty nasty, stating a lot of falsehoods, making it look like I beat her up, put her in the hospital for 10 days.
Well, let me take a look at it.
Mrs. Longborg had some stability problems early in our relationship.
Let me read the letter.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you'll come back.
Okay.
Well, you seem to, in a chronological order here, describe not only your business, but your personal relationship with the defendant.
Right.
Something, quite frankly, Ms. Longborg, I don't understand. I don't understand why you would have sent a letter talking about the fact that he beat you up, talking about the fact that you were hospitalized for 10 days.
Because I throw the hospitalization in because that's when a lot of everything happened.
your daughter, who was 9 years old, died.
That's correct. And I was a wreck. And that's when he took advantage of me.
That is not true. Mrs. Lomborg stayed with me after her daughter passed on, and after she got out of the hospital for 2 weeks in March, from March 15 on, because she was getting kicked out of her apartment.
Well,
and
listen to me. It sounds to me as if she has had a very difficult time.
Yes, she has, definitely. And
I mean, you lose a child, that's the most difficult thing in the world.
This child was severely handicapped. She was a special child to me and my children. I love this little girl just as much as anybody. She was taken to my mother's daycare. I treated her just like she was one of my own.
That's all true, but it doesn't give him license to steal everything from me.
Why did you write this letter?
At the time, the DA had assured me that this was going to trial. This was the 5th trial date, and that Wes was looking. I didn't say he was going. I said it was told to me that he may be spending as much as up to 1 year in prison or in jail for these crimes. Wes was making arrangements with his buddies to take over the accounts, which these are incredible estates, and I would not trust his buddies.
Ms. Longmore, there is something disingenuous about what you say to me. I'm going to tell you why, madam. Because if your concern was for the business, a very simple letter to the clients indicating that there may be an interruption in service. I cannot vouch for the personnel who are going to be dealing and servicing with the accounts, and since you've been dealing with me over the phone, I want to let you know I am no longer associated with the business and cannot personally vouch for the people who will be servicing your pool in the event that Mr. Romano is not with us for a year. You instead chose to, in a very systematic way, allow these strangers into your private life.
That was my choice.
Well, now, you have to establish to me, sir, that you had some loss as a result of that.
Well, I lost, it has changed. I lost one more customer as of this letter.
Well, you're going to have to establish to me that your loss of business was as a result of this letter.
Right here. Here's 4 these people. As this gentleman was with me as we're on the route. People are coming out. Hey, what's this letter? Are you going to jail or not?
Now, listen to me, sir. You have to have witnesses in order to establish that to me.
This gentleman right here, witness. They said, I don't want service anymore. I don't want to get in the middle of this. I'm sorry. Thank you for your service. Goodbye.
Now, listen to me. They have to come to court.
They don't want to get in the middle of it. They don't want to come to court.
They may not want to get in the middle of it, but you've established one part of your claim. The second part of your claim is that as a result of that, you lost business.
Phone numbers. Give them a call.
You give them a call. That's not my job. My job is to hear this case, sir. Your job is to bring witnesses into a court so that I can question the people and make a determination as to their veracity and what motivated them and ask them the questions, not somebody who overheard them. That's why we do not allow hearsay in a court.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
she got a payment once every month. And if she didn't, she sure got on my case and got it somehow.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Former business partners and lovers, Lauren Lonborg and Charles Romano, are fighting over business debts, a computer, and bail money.
Unless the clients are here to tell me that they stopped using your services, sir, because of this letter, I am not entertaining your cross-complaint. I mean, I think that the letter was terrible. It was very poor taste, very bad judgment, and certainly unprofessional.
I felt no other alternative.
She's trying to slander my name for me to lose customers because she has nothing to lose. She is not part of the business. She is no longer part of the business as of December, and she's merely just trying to ruin my name.
How did you determine that?
Miss Longborg,
sorry.
I'm not getting into whether you own any piece of this business or not. Certainly, if you owned a piece of the business and you wrote that letter, that would be dumber than dumb. Mr. Romano, I'm going to tell you right now, I do not believe, sir, that the plaintiff has been paid back all of the money that she loaned the business to start it. You can't even look me square in the eye and say she's been paid back all the money. But that is not the subject of this lawsuit, because that's far more than the jurisdiction of this court. I am entertaining your application for the money that he owes you as a result of the personal loan that you made to him for his bail and for the tickets, because I really don't believe that you have been paid back for that. So I'm awarding you a judgment in the amount of $2,060.70. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll back up to your right, please.
I have zero tolerance. You knew that on the day one.
Smoke pot once in a while. Shoot me. You want to do it right now? Shoot me.
Am I done?
And now the next case.
All parties on Olson versus Marion. Step forward, please.
34-year-old Brenda Olson is suing her childhood friend, Nikki Marion, for not repaying a loan. Nikki says she doesn't have the money or a job.
According to your complaint, Miss Olson, the defendant was a childhood friend of yours. And there came a time when she needed some money and you lent her money.
Correct.
She refuses to pay you back. So tell me about the loan. When was it made? Why?
Well, she came to me. She was back payments on her house that she had just bought, and then her car had been breaking down and stuff. So she needed some money to repair her car and to catch up on her house payments so she wouldn't lose her house. So I borrowed her the money on one of my credit cards.
How much money?
At the time, it was about $3,098. As time went on, she paid, wrote checks to my credit card and everything was going good. And then she wrote some bad checks to them, and I got bad credit over the deal. So she written them an apology letter, which I brought with me too. And she got my credit all good again, and then she started sending them money orders. And just recently, like about 4 or 5 months ago, she lost her job, and she told me that she just couldn't pay me anymore. And so I asked her to borrow the money from her parents because I couldn't afford to pay it all off either. And if I would have paid monthly, I would have ended up paying more than I ever borrowed her. And she told me that she asked her parents, and her parents said no, and that she just wasn't going to pay me. So I told her I was going to take her to court. She said, well, get in line with everybody else that had judgments against me. So I felt hurt because I did it as a friendship thing and wasn't going to see my money.
How much money in total does she owe you now?
Now, with the whole total, probably about $3,600.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the proof of that, please, and I would like to see the letter of apology that she sent to you. Thank you. Miss Marion, how come you borrowed this money from your friend? You did borrow it, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
How come?
To have my car fixed and to make some payments on my house.
Wasn't there anyone else you could have asked for the money? Relative? Parents?
No.
Why?
My parents won't borrow me money.
Have you borrowed money from them before?
Years ago.
Did you pay them back?
No.
Is that one of the reasons why they won't lend you money
Probably.
again? Okay. So you went to your friend, and she lent you the money.
Correct.
So why don't you pay her back this money?
Well, first of all, I don't have a job, and I have no income.
Why not?
Because I was laid off of my job of 7 years.
When?
In November.
Let's talk about before November. You weren't paying her back before November.
That's not correct. Prior to November, I was paying her. I was giving her cash and money orders when I could.
When you could?
Well, she got a payment once every month. And if she didn't, she sure got on my case and got it somehow.
You seem to have a resentment when you say she got on my case.
Yeah, because this is I don't know, it's a rivalry for us. I mean,
Why?
Because it's back and forth. I've lent her money, she pays me, I lend money, it's back and forth. It's been for years.
How much money did you lend to her?
Over the years, I don't have a true record of it. We've known each other since we were little kids.
I'm talking about big money, Miss Marion. I mean, did she ever borrow $1,000 from you?
No. I'd say in the hundreds.
Paid you right back.
And she paid you back?
Yes.
Well, that's the problem. What's your excuse? What's your defense to this case?
I don't have a job and I can't pay her the $50 a month that she wants. And when I lost my job, I called her and asked her if I could pay her less than that. And her attitude was fine.
That's what the interest is on the credit
And then 2
card.
weeks later, she calls me and all of a sudden I'm taking you to court and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't ask to never pay her. I asked to pay her less until I got a job.
She has to pay these bills on her credit card because this money was borrowed on her credit card.
She chose to put it on her credit card. Thing is, I didn't go up to Brenda Olson and say, Brenda, please borrow me money. Brenda knew my situation. Brenda offered to borrow me the money. How she chose to get the money, how she chose to get the money was her choice. If she chose to put it on a 17% credit card, that's her choice. I didn't ask her to do that.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
How much are these monthly payments that you have to make?
At least $60 because $35 is interest alone. How are you ever going to get it down?
So you have to pay at least $60 a month. Most of it is interest, but some of it is principal.
Sure.
$60 a month. Now, I'm not really good at math, but that comes to a little less than $15 a week, right? $15 a week. Miss Marion, you can collect cans in the street and get $15 a week. So you can't tell me that you can't work and earn $15 a week doing something. Do you understand? You have to work and earn $15 a week because you have an obligation. And this lady doesn't look to me as if she's rolling in dough. Doesn't look to me as if she's living on a trust of $1 million. Do you work?
I clean houses on my hands and knees.
And how much do you get a day for that?
Well, usually about $35.
Very good. Why don't you do this? See if one of the people that you work for can give her a day's work.
Yeah.
She could just go to work one day, clean somebody's house, and madam, you will have your monthly payment to her after 2 weeks.
Minus the $50 a day daycare, I'm negative $15.
Just a second. Let me ask you this question. Work out an arrangement with a friend of yours so that one day you watch your friend's child and one day they watch your child, and you go out and get a job, and if it's cleaning houses like the plaintiff does in order to get her money, that's what you do. We understand each other? Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back. Thank you. I'll be back to your right, please.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, we know each other forever. We did. We hung out together like all the time.
I'm hurt. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's a love-hate.
Like
It's going to be till the day we die, so this is just another chapter in our life.
Parties on Ramos versus Price. Step forward, please.
42-year-old Blanca Ramos wants her son's ex-girlfriend, 36-year-old Carolyn Price, to repay her credit card bills.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 397 on the calendar in the matter of Ramos versus Price. Parties have been sworn, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, sir.
Miss Ramos, the defendant is your son's former girlfriend.
Yes.
To these papers. And you claim that she owes you money for things that she charged on a credit card.
Yes.
That was in your name and your son's name.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Price says that she has paid the bill.
That's correct.
And she's going to be able to prove that to me, and that the only reason you filed this claim is because she refused to drop charges that she had filed against your son for assault.
That's not true. I never asked her that.
Okay. Is this your son?
Yes, my son.
I'll get to you in a minute.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about these credit card purchases.
Okay, I went to Circuit City in 1995.
Circuit City?
Yes, November 1995, with my son, and she went with us. My son asked me to get a credit card for him, so I applied for it, and he get it right away. Okay, by that time...
Just a minute. So he asked you to get him a card?
Yes.
But your name was on it?
Yes. Yes.
Because he wasn't working at the time?
No, he wasn't working at the time and all that kind of stuff, so I got a credit card for him.
That was your first mistake? How old was he at the time?
He was 21.
And not working?
He was working at that time.
You just told me he wasn't working.
No, he was working at that time. He was working as a gardener. He got a part-time job as a gardener.
Maybe. So you got a credit card for him, you gave it to him, and then she asked if she could put some stuff on the credit card.
Yes, by that time they were living together. They went to Circuit City and got a washer and dryer for $1,054.
Yes.
Okay. Caroline, she decided to return the washer and dryer to the Circuit City. So they refound a check to her house with my son and my son's name for $1,054.
Okay.
This lady cashed this check, opened the envelope and cashed this check and paid her own bills with these things.
You'll get to you in a minute. Okay.
Another thing is, okay, after that, she went with my son again to Circuit City and got a big screen TV. She got a PlayStation. She got a lot of stuff. And this came out to $2,600 or $2,700.
Miss Ramos, was your son living with the defendant at the time that they made these additional purchases for the big screen TV and everything else?
Yes, they were living together.
Well, then they purchased these things together.
No, but she agreed to make the payments for these things they got in Circuit City.
Who did she say she would pay for those things?
Well, the thing is that I find out, I didn't even know about these things. She got these things because...
Just a minute. You keep saying she. Are you telling me that you believe that she went alone?
No, she went with my son.
She went with him?
Yes.
And they were living together?
Yes.
So they purchased these things together for the house that they were living in together, Mrs. Ramos?
Yes.
So you don't know what kind of an arrangement they made between the two of them about how these things were going to be paid for.
But the thing is, when I applied for a credit card, because I wanted to pay my card off, they denied my application, and I didn't know why, because I had a very good credit. So I asked the TRW to send me a copy of my records. And this shows in here that Circuit City was the only one that was delinquent for
Fine.
60 and 90 days.
So, Miss Ramos, at that point, did you say to your son, why did you ruin my credit?
Yes, I did. I asked him
Just
why.
a minute. And let's come up here, sir, now. What's your name?
My name is Victor.
Victor, why did you ruin your mother's credit?
Okay, well, what I want to explain is I've been living with her, and she told me that let's go get some staff for the house, and she promised me that we want to pay this together, She tried to tell you people that I've been living together, but she always put me out of her house.
Just a second, Victor. You got a big screen television, right?
Yeah.
Something very important. No house should be without a big screen television. Did you watch it?
By that?
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it.
All right. And what else did she buy on the credit card other than the big screen TV?
She bought a PlayStation.
What's a PlayStation?
A video game.
Video game that you didn't play with?
No.
You never touched the video game?
No, the TV, yeah.
Let me tell you something. Women don't play those video games. Men get into those things, shooting and, killing a lot of people on the screen, right? They sort of get into that. All right. What else did she buy? A PlayStation? What else?
Washer and dryer.
Oh, just a minute. Did you have clothes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you get a washboard and wash the clothes? Or did you use the washer and dryer?
I used the washer and dryer.
Okay. And then you say she put you out. Now, how many times were you arrested for domestic violence?
3 times.
Mm-hmm. And was it after each of those 3 times that she put you out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she threw you out, as well she should have, probably after the first time you assaulted her. Not waiting until the 3rd time. That was very stupid.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How big was the TV, Victor?
Like this table size.
You must be very successful at your part-time gardening.
And later today,
My stepmother almost beat the crap out of me, basically.
She slapped her one time. She never slapped her on the face at all.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Blanca Ramos is suing her son's former girlfriend, Carolyn Price, for credit card bills. Carolyn says Blanca's son, Victor, assaulted her.
You say that she signed a piece of paper indicating that she would pay a certain amount of money. Let me see it, please.
She signed this letter to me, not to me, to my son. I sent her like 5 letters and she signed all of them together.
Oh, nice.
Just a second. Sure. Current balance was $2,711.05, right?
Yes.
I don't know how much was hers of this $2,700.11.
I have a ledger
Yes.
of all my the purchases that were made, the payments I made, and the agreement between Blanca and I that I was to pay $1,000.
Let me see it, please.
And
Because
I
this
did.
$2,700 doesn't tell me how much were her purchases and his purchases and your purchases.
I never make an agreement with her to pay $1,000.
Yes, you did,
I
Your
just
Honor.
tell.
Just a second. Shh. Now, how much in total were your purchases?
Total was $1,172.60, and then you add that refund check there.
So it's
$2,200, and I've made all these payments, as you can see, down to $788.60. And all this stuff happened between him and I. He promised that he would pay some money on this account, and he never did. Then, the abuse started, and I kicked him out. And then she came to me. Actually, she called me, and her daughter calculated the amount that we both agreed on. It was like $900 and some odd. And I said, well, let's make it even 1,000, and we're even, done. She goes, okay. Then she comes over begging me to not press charges against him, and I wouldn't do it. And then I said, we're stand on Circuit City's $1,000. I'll pay it when I get my settlement.
She has $2,200 for pager, PlayStation, cell phone, TV, and the refund check, which was $22. She also has made numerous payments on this. Where did you get money from him? He didn't pay for a diddly. They incurred this debt because they were living together. Don't you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you go to him and say, Victor, give me some money? You used the TV, you used the cell phone, you used the washer dryer, You got kicked out because you can't keep your hands in your pockets. And I don't want you to destroy my credit. It's not her fault.
Yes, ma'am, I know that.
Good.
But the thing is that when I called her and asked her the questions for these things, she didn't even know what to say.
Why didn't you ask him? Nothing was purchased on your credit card.
She'll ask me. Both of them should be
Just
agreed
a
to
second.
ask me.
He's your son. He's supposed to ask you. You didn't give her a credit card. You gave it to him. He went out and spent a lot of money. How big was the TV, Victor?
I don't know, that's like this table size.
You must be very successful at your part-time gardening. Miss Ramos, I'm satisfied that she's paid more than her portion of the debt that she owes you. If you're owed any more money, get it from him. That's all. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back, go to your right, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Jasso versus Widener. Step forward, please.
18-year-old receptionist Christina Jasso wants her father, 46-year-old budget analyst David Widener, to return $700 she claims he stole.
Miss Jasso, this is your father.
Yes.
How old are you?
18.
According to the papers that I've read, you were, for most of your life, living with your mom.
Mm-hmm.
First, how many years?
13.
And then you decided to go and live with your father.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
My grandfather had died, and my mother and I had gotten a run-in because, basically, of depression. I blamed it on her.
You blamed your grandfather's death on your mother?
My mother, because of depression. I thought she could have done something.
Was he sort of like your father while you were growing up?
He was, yeah, basically my father figure.
And you lived with your dad for how long?
Almost 3 full years.
But you started to skip school, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Hang out with some people that probably weren't terrific?
Some, yes.
And so you got into an altercation with your father. This lawsuit is about 2 things. You say that your dad took $700 out of a bank account that was yours?
I have proof of that, yes.
And that he still has your property and your clothes and personal effects.
Birthday gifts and Christmas gifts, everything.
Well, let's start with this bank account. When was the bank account opened?
I don't have the exact date, but it wasn't very long after I had moved up there.
So you were 13, 14?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Who put money into the account?
Most of the money came from babysitting that I had done, from confirmation money that I had gotten, and paychecks he had put in $5 every paycheck he got.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And how often do you get paid?
Every 2 weeks.
So every 2 weeks you would put in $5?
Yes, ma'am.
So $10 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
For how many years?
There were 58 deposits made.
290?
Yes, ma'am.
$290
Yes,
you put
ma'am.
in. Now, there came a time when your daughter left your house. You want to tell me why, sir?
She eloped 8 times from the period of March 11th until May 2nd from our house. And the time she left our house on May 2nd of 96, her mother arranged for a bus ticket for her to leave the state of Wisconsin at 12:30 midnight, travel through the state of the Chicago on a bus by herself back to Ohio. I didn't know this until afterwards, but
I acted out of fear, Your Honor.
Why?
Because my stepmother almost beat the crap out of me, basically. I had a split lip because of it, and I had several bruises on my body.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
not my grandchild. She didn't tell me until today. This is the first time she's told me she was pregnant or married.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Jasso says her father, David Widener, took money and kept thousands of dollars worth of clothes. He says she can have the clothes back, but the money was his in the first place.
Could we move on with this, please?
Her stepmother slapped her one time. She never slapped her on the face at all. And the split lip came from an auto accident that she's very lucky, a very lucky young lady to even be alive.
When was the auto accident?
March 15th.
March 15th of 96.
In any event, you left and went back to your mother. And at that point, you closed out this account, sir?
No, ma'am. I closed the account on February the 22nd. I did that to protect the funds. I felt if this young lady was skipping school, and she was, that eventually she would realize that she had money at her disposal. The reason I opened the account was to help her.
Was $700 the amount in the account?
$761 I transferred from her account to my account to safeguard it.
Even without any interest, $471 of that money is really hers.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have no dispute about that. Now let's talk about your clothes and your personal property. I know you left a lot of stuff with your dad. Mr. Widener, I gather from your answer that you are not only frustrated but a little bit angry with your daughter, or you were.
Yes, ma'am.
That happens, unfortunately. Being a parent requires those two words, unconditional love.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your answer, you've boxed up the property that is your daughter's when you're just waiting for her to send you $95 for the shipping costs.
Yes, ma'am.
I was never informed of that.
I'm helping you, Christina.
Thank you.
You have to send her things. I mean, even if it doesn't involve running away and moving from one parent to another, that's what happens with teenagers. You know, they love their mother until they're, I don't know, about 12, 13 years old. Then something happens when you reach puberty. Right?
Yes.
I'm glad we understand each other, and you're getting a little older, so you understand.
Yes. I'm pregnant myself, and so I'm learning to understand.
That's not such a smart thing, but we're not going to get into that.
I'm married.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I am.
Fine. Does he work?
Yes, he does.
Ah! Married, working, and pregnant. I can live with those three things. That
He's
sounds like
working
an almost
He
formula.
works 2 jobs, and I work myself, so.
All right. So you're going to be a grandfather.
For the 4th time.
Not with this young lady.
No, ma'am.
So, are you almost going to make up with your dad?
I would like to, but I've called him in the past, and the reaction that he has given me is that the problems were all entirely mine.
You got to put a period. You got to put a period and say, whatever happens, happens. You see, she did that, your former wife. She forgave her daughter for being a brat. She took her back.
I was.
And your daughter was a brat when she lived with you, and she probably made your life miserable towards the tail end. Threw the house upside down.
Wasn't too bad.
So now she seems to be working, married. Is he a nice guy?
Oh, yeah.
Have you met him?
No, ma'am.
Well, I think you should. She's going to have a baby that probably is going to look just like you.
a little darker.
Judge Judy continues.
I'm going to give you a judgment for $471. You can probably use it to buy a crib. That would be a nice thing.
Yeah.
And Mr. Widener, I'm going to direct you, sir, to take the boxed stuff that you have for your daughter and send it back to her without fee. And you traveled here separately, I assume, to court today from 2 different states. Is that right?
Correct.
So why don't you do me a favor and go out and have a cup of coffee together, the 3 of you? Think you can do that?
We can try.
Think you can do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll be back. Go to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I hated having to do this to my father because he is my father, but I'm pleased that at least maybe we might be able to communicate now.
I only wanted her to be the best that she could be. I don't think that she gave herself as much credit as she should have. She's a very, but has a lot of potential.
He needs to put what's in the past behind us.
On Amin Shaboni versus Sharifi Azad, step forward, please.
30-year-old attorney Sonia Amin and sales clerk Brenda Schiavone are both suing beauty salon owner David Sharifi Azad for tattoo makeup they say caused permanent damage.
Order, all rise.
Your Honor, this is number 17 on the calendar in the matter of Amin Shaboni versus Sharifi Azad.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Well, this is an interesting case. I've sort of enjoyed reading about it. According to the complaints that I've read, you 2 ladies went to the defendant's salon to have some permanent cosmetic work done on your faces.
That's correct, Your Honor.
We're going to get to why you would want to do that to such beautiful faces in a minute. And you were dissatisfied with the work, so you're suing him. Tell us about.
I think you can use a stronger word than dissatisfied, Your Honor, more like disgusted.
Well, first tell me about the kind of work that you wanted to have done on your face.
It's a permanent cosmetic procedure. Instead of having to apply makeup on a daily basis, you would look like you've already been made up. Would have a lip liner on the outside of the lips, and for me, an eyeliner, which is just on the margin of the eyelids, upper and lower, so that I wouldn't have to apply eye makeup on. So when I wake up, I look like one during the rest of the day.
Tell me how this is done.
It's a tattoo type of procedure where you take a needle with pinpoints and you take a color. I don't know what kind of exactly it's made out of, but it's a color that you apply with pin dots. And you connect the dots, you keep dotting it until you connect the dots and you see a line. And then the same thing underneath.
On your eyes?
Yeah.
What kind of research did you do before you decided to embark on these procedures?
Well, I worked in the medical field before, many years ago, and I've known numerous people who've done the procedure and who've actually performed the procedure, so I'm familiar with how it works. And it's relatively safe. We never heard any bad stories, and we talked and we decided we'd go together.
Fine. So you asked recommendations of these numerous friends as to where they had had it done, I assume?
Actually, no. Brenda suggested that we go to this gentleman's store.
Why? Brenda,
Because it was near my house. And
now the reason you didn't answer me so fast.
And the advertisement.
Just a second. The reason you didn't answer so fast is because as you were saying it, it sounded foolish, right? Well, I'm suggesting to you that if you're going to have this procedure done, which is, to me, you know, it's an invasive procedure.
Yes, it is.
It's an invasive procedure. It's not like putting a cream on you.
Right.
It's needles going into you that you do more than just
Believe
look at
me,
a
I
pretty
know,
thing.
Your Honor.
All
Suffered
right.
for an hour on his table, I know.
Okay. Now, so you went in, and who was going to do this procedure for you?
His employee, her name was Fati. And
Who you spoke to?
Yes, before him.
Fati was your employee.
She works as an independent contractor in a salon.
Well, did you tell that to these people?
I didn't know that.
No,
What?
I paid
No,
him.
that's not what. Don't tell me what they know, David. Listen to me. I told you, you would not escape me.
The lady who performed it, when they came in, they talked to her, and she said, I will do that for them. And I asked her, did you go through the initial introduction procedure? And she said, yes.
David, that's not my question. I said it was your employee. Don't try to outwaltz me,
Well,
sir.
what I'm saying
That
now,
you didn't
Your Honor,
say to them that she is not my employee. She is an
It is-
independent
it is-
contractor.
it is.
Are you trying to talk over me?
No.
David, you didn't say to them, this is an independent contractor who just rents space in my store. This was presented as your employee. So as far as anybody who walks into your store is concerned,
Yes, ma'am.
the people in your store are your employees.
That's true.
Oh, that's okay. So now tell me what happened. You want to start?
Sure. So I'm laying on the table and she started on my eyelids first, on my upper eyelids. And you're supposed to do dot points, right, to connect the colors. You know, like dots with a needle. And what Fati was doing was taking the needle and making a line. And I was dripping in blood during the entire time. And I could see Brenda's expression. She's looking at me in horror like this. And I'm like, so I asked Fati, excuse me, don't you think you should wait until the blood dries before you continue poking me? She told me that this is how she does the procedure and it's fine. And I was in a lot of pain. Tears were coming down. I stopped her again. I said, you know what? This doesn't seem right. How can you see what you're doing with all the blood and all the tearing? She goes, I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Finally, she finished with my eyes. I should have just left. But anyway, she finished my eyes and she moved on to my lips. Again, the same thing. She was just taking the needle and taking the line and over. And she had to do it like 4 times because the color wasn't taken. As you can see, I look the same as I did, a week afterwards with no liner. I have nothing on my lips. This is what I paid them to do, right? So anyway, then it was Brenda's turn. So I'll let her.
So you just watched the assault on your friend Sonia.
Yes.
And then you said, here I am. Me next.
I've gotten, like I said, I have 3 tattoos, and you're supposed to dot it, and then you're
She
supposed
just
to wipe
told me
it.
that you watched what they did to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
I mean,
she
had you
said
been
this was
drinking?
normal. She said, because I didn't know that permanent makeup, that it was this type of procedure. I had them on all other parts of my body, not on my face.
All right, so.
And they were very friendly to us and very
It was
cordial
clean.
and very. We were
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
It's absolutely ridiculous for me to go and lay on his lousy table to bleed for an hour and a half.
Later today.
You just shafted her, and you know it.
No, I didn't.
She worked 165 hours, gets nothing.
I didn't shaft her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brenda Schiavone and Sonia Amin claim that a permanent makeup procedure in David Sharif Yazad's beauty salon was botched by his employee.
So you had your lips done?
Yes.
And no color?
As she proceeded, she did it once, the whole time around. Did not stop, but maybe once or twice to wipe it because I said, you know, I was dripping blood all the way down my chin.
Is this painful?
Yes.
Well, sure, we're sitting there.
By now,
the
you're
whole
pretty much
time,
numb.
45 minutes
You
on her,
couldn't
an hour and a
really
half on me. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
She did it 4 times on my lips.
We walked out of there, it looked like somebody
All right,
beat me
so
up.
when you got home, it was terrible.
Yes.
All right, let's cut to the chase. You got home, it was terrible.
Yeah.
So you called him again?
Yeah, I called him. I talked to Fatih. I said, this is ridiculous. I can't believe we went through this. It's not right. My eyes are swollen. My lips I look like a clown. She looked like a clown.
Yeah. So what did you want Fatih to do?
So she said, let me do it again. And I said, forget it.
Well,
I said, I'm not going to let you butcher me and do this again. And I talked to David. I said, you know what? You guys did a terrible job. I can't believe this went on. And I'm in pain. I'm scabbed. This is terrible. He reassured me that, you know, I'm sorry. Come in. Let my wife do it. And I said, your wife? She was learning. And I said, there's no way I'm coming in for you. I'm not going to be somebody's guinea pig. And he said, okay. On the 8th of June, he told me, I'll credit your credit card account and we'll call it even.
How much did you pay him?
I paid him $450 for me.
$450?
Yeah.
And I paid $200.
David, take a look at them. Did they have permanent color like they were supposed to?
If you allow me, Your Honor, I want to explain to you.
Okay.
They did their side. Would you allow me to do my side?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. They came to the salon and they said they want to do the permanent makeup. We have done numerous permanent makeup with no incident. Everybody happy.
I'm not
and they're
interested in
accustomed.
that. I'm not interested
However, they did it, and when they came out of the room was at the closing of the time closing the store. My wife was there, I was there, and I did not see a drop of blood on their face or anything that they said.
Of course you didn't, because you weren't there.
When you came out of the room, I saw you.
Okay.
And then Fatih came out, and as you see, they have signed the contract that it says this procedure might cause discomfort or pain, and it needs follow-up procedure.
Let me see the contract.
They read it, they signed it, and it explained in the paper.
Let me see it. I can read, sir. It was one of the first
this
prerequisites
is one
for this
her
job.
And the other one for Gil.
Your Honor, at the conclusion of the procedure, it is true that David said that we may need touch-up, a minor touch-up, but what needs to be done is a complete redo, as if nothing was done. And he offered me to come back and do it again. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous for me to go and lay on his lousy table to bleed for an hour and a half.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You allowed somebody to go across your eye, allow blood to be dripping from your eye, and didn't at that very moment get up off the table and say, get away from me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Sharif Yazad says he never got the chance to finish the tattoo makeup for the plaintiffs, Sonia Amin and Brenda Schiavone. They say his salon was incompetent.
Now, I've read this contract. It says the undersigned client, that's them, agrees to follow the aftercare instructions and agrees that any touch-up work needed due to the undersigned's negligence, that's their negligence, shall be done at the undersigned's expense.
If they're negligent. Well, if they weren't negligent, we would do the follow-up free.
Well, they don't want follow-up, sir, and they certainly don't want your wife to do follow-up because your wife was a
Your Honor,
cosmetician
excuse me,
in
Your
training.
Honor. I'm very sorry to interrupt you.
Brenda, your suit is for $200, correct?
Correct.
And Sonia, yours is for $450, correct?
Well, Your Honor, yes, but I think we're entitled to more than what was paid because of the pain and suffering that they inflicted on us.
Well, there's something called contributory negligence.
Well, that's fine. If I'm 20% contributory negligent or whatever number you want to assign.
I want to tell you something. Based on the story that you told me and the apparent intelligence of both of you two women, I think that you're far more than 20% responsible for your own pain and suffering. You were laying on the table, and you knew that this was supposed to be done in a dotting procedure, and you allowed somebody to go with a needle instead of doing it in little dots across your eye, to go across your eye, allow blood to be dripping from your eye, and didn't at that very moment get up off the table and say, get away from me. You let him do the other eye. When you finish letting him do the other eye, let him do your mouth. And you watched the whole thing, and when she hopped up, you sat down.
Your Honor, there wasn't any blood.
Listen to me.
You weren't even in
There
the
wasn't
room.
any blood, Your
David,
Honor.
David, now say nothing. Listen to me. Listen to me. When you stopped this process and when you first initially wanted your money back, that's what you were going to sue for. And I think that you're entitled to have your money back. And if you want to have this done again to yourselves, go and have it done to yourselves. I don't think that there's any big deal in the morning keeping a tube of lipstick on the side of your table. You want to look nice when you go in and brush your teeth? Put a little lipstick on. You know, to have it done permanently, your lips are going to change as you get older. Your eyelids are going to change when you get older. The bottoms of your eyes are going to change. They're going to get a little further down. The lids are going to come over. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $650, consistent with the amount that they paid for these procedures. That's all.
Parties are excused.
I think they were looking for opportunity to make few bucks.
Oh, yeah, right. We didn't even have anything on our face.
Nothing.
Nothing on our lips.
Because you are negligent and you could have had 10 months to come to talk to us. You didn't. You were looking for making
If this
some
is
money out of it.
satisfactory work, then
No,
it's a
you
waste
should
of
have come to
everybody.
follow up. You never follow up.
Parties on Addison versus Farwell. Step forward, please.
Secretary Bonnie Addison is suing Suzanne Farwell, her co-worker at California's Los Alamitos racetrack, claiming Suzanne refused to pay for 4 wedding dresses that took her 165 hours to make.
Miss Addison.
Yes.
You were familiar with the defendant from work. What kind of work do you do?
We both work at Los Alamitos Racecourse.
And according to your complaint, she approached you one day because she was getting married.
Mm-hmm.
Must have heard that she sewed in her spare time.
Yes.
And she asked you if you would be interested in making 4 bridesmaids' dresses.
Correct.
So tell me about that conversation, because according to your complaint, you made the dresses and then she didn't pay you for them and didn't pick them up.
That is correct.
Go ahead.
We were just talking one day, and she asked me if, since I sew, would I be interested in making the dresses, and I told her I would. And she asked me what would I charge, and I told her I had no idea because I had never sewn for other people in this manner. So I would have to check with a few people who did. So, and then I'd let her know.
So did you let her know how much you were going to
Yes.
charge? What did you say to her?
I told her that I was told, since I was not a professional sewer, that a fair price to charge would be $10 an hour.
And what did she say?
She agreed.
Is that correct?
I did not agree to the $10 an hour.
What did you agree to?
When I approached her, I told her that I had been to a few seamstress that could do it for $120. And if she was interested to make some extra money for her sewing equipment, that if she would be willing to do it for under $120, and she agreed.
So according to you, she didn't say anything about $10 an hour.
She mentioned the $10 an hour.
What do you mean she mentioned it?
She said that that's what she was told to charge, being that she was a beginner. I asked her if that would keep me under the $120, and she said yes, as long as I did all the legwork, which I did. And she said that that would keep me under $120.
So, then what happened?
I thought we had agreed upon the $10 an hour, and that's the reason I said I would do it,
So then you got started, you made these dresses.
Mm-hmm.
You were working by the hour. How many hours did it take?
165.
So that would be $1,600 for the 4 dresses.
Correct.
Or $400 a piece.
Correct.
4 times as much.
The week before my wedding.
So what happened?
She approached me and she says, that's way too much money.
Sounds like too much money to me, too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I didn't realize I had been working that many hours on it. I was just sewing, doing what I enjoyed doing. And when we figured out the hours and that, yes, it came to $1,650. Well, yes, even I thought that was a little much. So I agreed to cut my hours in half.
To make the dresses a little over $200 a piece.
Correct.
And she said,
oh, that's too much money.
And you said,
well, if you can't pay that price, then you don't get the dresses.
So I didn't take them. This was all brought up the Sunday before my wedding. We talked to her one more time the Tuesday before my wedding and asked her and tried to talk her down. We offered her $150 for each dress over what we wanted to pay. And she would not accept that. She said, sorry, no money, no dresses.
Did they offer to give you the $150 for each dress?
No, ma'am, they offered me $150 for the 4 dresses.
$150 for the 4 dresses?
No,
And I
$150 per
said,
dress, and I have
no way.
my witness right here to verify it.
Well, maybe that was a misunderstanding.
That might have been, I don't know. I can remember they offered me $150 for the 4 dresses. That's the reason I refused. I mean, I'm not crazy. I mean, I put a lot of time and effort into those dresses.
Well, I understand that you did, and I also understand that this was her wedding, and a couple of days before the wedding, I doubt whether she would have made a ridiculous offer to you of $150 for all 4 of the dresses. I mean, it just doesn't sound right. You ended up buying new dresses, correct?
Yes, we did.
And how much were the new dresses that you bought?
$136
A piece.
a piece. And that was 3 days before my wedding.
Well, we have a problem here.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Suzanne Farwell says she refused to pay for wedding dresses made by her friend Bonnie because they weren't what she ordered.
Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is a legal one. Because I see that you did the work. I also know that she got no benefit from the work that you did. And the problem comes from the fact that there was no meeting of the minds. This was a contract. And it was an oral contract that clearly neither of you agreed to the terms of because you were under the impression that you were going to be paid by the hour. And she was under the impression that whatever you did was going to cost her less than $120 per dress.
Correct.
If there is no meeting of the minds, there is no contract. And if there is no contract, you cannot sue on the contract, Ms. Addison. Now, I feel very badly for you because you went to all of this trouble and you are a novice when it comes to sewing. I think that the advice that you were given to charge $10 an hour by whomever was ridiculous advice because when somebody goes to a seamstress, they are given a price for the product. Because you, as a novice in making these kinds of dresses, in all probability took longer than a professional seamstress who could have done the work in far less time. So she would have been crazy to agree to pay you by the hour. So there is no meeting of the minds. And when there is no meeting of the minds in a contract, you cannot sue on it. So this case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. Let's step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
It is not my problem.
You just shafted her, and you know it.
No, I didn't.
She worked 165 hours, gets nothing.
I didn't shaft her.
I thought it was a slap in the face. That's the reason I told you, no, you get nothing. You offered $125 per dress, and I said no, and then you said, okay, $150 for all the dresses. I'd have been an idiot to take it.
Parties on Opp versus Gallagher. Step forward, please.
29-year-old Julie Opp and her boyfriend John Gallagher, a private investigator, drove to Mexico so Julie could live out a private fantasy, to dance in a strip club. But when the time came, John got jealous and a fight erupted at the border.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please. All rise.
Judges, number 7 on the calendar in the matter of Opp versus Gallagher. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Well, this is some story, depending upon the version. Bottom line, Miss Opp, you are suing the defendant, Mr. Gallagher, because you say he assaulted you on a recent trip to Mexico.
Yes.
Why you were there is somewhat in dispute. We'll get to that in a minute. He says that you assaulted him first. Something that you don't really deny in your papers.
Yes, I did.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. Were you his girlfriend?
We were girlfriend and boyfriend.
For how long? Before you took this trip, this fateful
Probably
trip?
a year and a half.
What were you doing in Mexico?
We originally went down there to get him some steroids and some medicine that takes you off of steroids.
Nope, that's not true, Your Honor.
Well, I'll get to you in a second. All right, so tell me when you left. You left for Mexico on what day of the week?
We left on the 17th. I don't remember what day of the week that was.
Was it on weekend?
I don't even remember.
Were you planning on spending a few days there?
No, we just went there for the day to pick up his steroids.
So you left in the morning?
Yeah.
What time did you get there?
I think it was around 10.
In the
11.
morning?
Yeah.
So what did you do? Tell me about the day.
We got there and we went to the pharmacy to look for his stuff. And he wanted to find a doctor where he could get his steroids. And that took an hour or two. And then we went, had some tacos, drank a few beers. And basically that took a couple more hours. Then we went to a strip bar. We had previously talked about me dancing. And I said, no, I'm not comfortable
Well, tell me
with
if
it.
that's what I find so interesting about this case. You went to a few strip bars and you talked about you dancing.
Well, before we went to the strip bar, we talked about it.
What was the conversation?
He wanted to see me dancing.
No.
Go ahead.
He wanted to see me dance because it was kind of like a fantasy thing between us. He just wanted to see it. I wasn't a dancer. He'd never seen me on a stage. And I told him if I did do it, I would need to drink a lot in order to get up there. So we went to the strip bar. I drank a lot, and
you got pretty drunk?
I don't really get drunk because I get sick really easy, but I got tipsy. Definitely, I had to relax in order to do it.
Okay.
And so I drank. He said, "Come on, keep doing it, you know, go do it." And finally, I did it. I went up there and I danced. And when I got down
at the strip bar,
yes. And
Bambi's.
Do you have to? I mean, can anybody just go there and do this? Do you have to ask a manager?
Anybody can do it. There was other American girls there doing it too. And there was a bunch of Marines. It wasn't.
Okay. Feels foolish now, doesn't it?
I'd never done it before.
Oh, okay.
And it was supposed to be something private between him and I, and it didn't end up that way.
So what happened? You danced?
I danced. I was done. We went to another bar, and he's like, "Do it here, do it here." And we're sitting there, and there was a girl dancing in front of us. And he says, "Give me $1. I want to tip her." I said, "I'm not going to give you $1 to tip her. Use your own money." And we got into an argument from that point on. So we walked out of the strip bar, and we're arguing on the street, and he called me a whore. And I said, "How could you call me a whore? You're the one who talked me into doing this." And he goes, "I'm sorry." He goes, "I shouldn't have said that. Hit me." And I go, "No." And he goes, hit me, you're a whore." And he just kept saying it. Finally, I hit him. I mean, we were arguing. It wasn't just a calm thing.
So you hit him?
So I hit him.
Where'd you hit him?
I'm sorry?
Where did you
hit
him?
In the face.
One time or more than one time?
One time, and then he called me a whore and told me, hit me again. So I hit him one more time. And then we grabbed a taxi.
3 times.
And then we grabbed a taxi, and we were driving back because we were going to get in trouble at that point. And he started calling me a whore again. So instead of hitting him, I grabbed my clog off my foot and hit him over the head. So I went and hit him in the face. But tempers were not good, and he kept calling me a whore. And
he was pretty drunk too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
you get to the border.
We get to the border, and things have calmed down. We're back on this side. It's kind of over. I said I had to go to the bathroom before we go back. And in the parking lot where you park, there's a public restroom. And we went in there, and he starts arguing, and he's talking about it. And I said, "I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to argue. It's over. Let's just go home. It's been a bad day." And I tried to get out of the bathroom because I was done, and he wouldn't let me out of the bathroom. He kept arguing with me. And so I went to open the door, unlock the door, and get out. So it was hot and stinky. It's gross in there. And he wouldn't let me out. Finally, he grabbed me, and he pulled me away from the door and shoved me against the wall. And then that's when the back of my head hit the wall, and I passed out. And he was yelling at me, "Stop it, you're faking it, you're faking it." And I was looking at him saying, "I'm not faking it, I'm passing out right now." And I was slumping down to the ground. And when I came to, because I kind of went out, when I came to, I noticed my hearing was gone. And then I became hysterical because I didn't know what was wrong. I'd never even heard of a ruptured eardrum. I didn't know what it was. I thought I had gone deaf for some reason. And I started screaming to him. We walked back to the car. He finally let me out, and we started to drive away. I said, "Take me to a hospital. This isn't normal. There's something wrong with me. Take me to a hospital." And he said, "No, I'm not. You're fine. You're faking it." And so I grabbed my cellular phone because he wasn't going to take me to the hospital to dial 911, and he grabbed the phone and wouldn't let me call. And so because he wouldn't go to the hospital, I opened the door and pretended I was going to jump out. In order to let him know that I was serious, I needed to go to the hospital.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She would remain anonymous. No one would find out about this, and she could let her inhibitions go.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Juliet is suing ex-boyfriend John Gallagher, claiming he punctured her eardrum during a fight over her amateur stripping debut.
So you have medical bills that you want him to pay for?
Yes.
What were your medical bills?
One's the doctor's bill, which is $228.64. One is the lab bill, which is $267.24. And then there's the emergency hospital bill, which is $1,306.
Okay, Mr. Gallagher. You had enough water, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Let's hear your story. You
All right,
went to Mexico.
I'll tell you the real version of the story. Actually, it started about a week before the day we went down. I can't recall the date, but the week prior, she had gone down to Mexico with a girlfriend named Melissa, done the same thing. she'd been flirting with the idea of possibly trying, dancing at nightclubs. And, can't blame her. She's, pretty attractive and can make a lot of money at it. So they had gone down and came back and told me the story how she had gotten up on stage. And I don't think she actually meant to, but she ended up getting up on stage and she made a bunch of money. And she was kind of excited. And it probably was a fantasy thing also, but we decided to go down on that Saturday.
How much is a bunch of money? I'm just
She had
curious.
a lot of crinkle $1 bills, but I'm sure more than 100 of them.
$80. $80. It's not a lot of money.
She was probably on there for like 5 minutes and made $80.
This was before you made
I had gone
$80
the
when you went
weekend
down there
before
with the
With
girlfriend.
my girlfriend, I told him about it, and he said, I want to do that. And we talked about it.
So
and
you
I
went
said-
down the week before with
No, I said that I wasn't really comfortable with it.
But you went down a week before you made $80.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So she wanted me to go down with her.
We're going
as-
to charge you for the water.
Can I get something better? So, a little nervous. She wanted me to go with her, partly as protection. Melissa couldn't go, and also a fantasy thing. But we didn't go down in the morning, and we did not go down to buy steroids. It's a lie. We didn't go down to buy steroids. We actually went down. It was dark out when
Ask
we were
him to take
driving.
his jacket off.
Yeah. We went. While we were there, we did go down, but it wasn't in the morning. It was dark out. It was probably like 7 or 8 o'clock when we started driving down. She drove her car, and we did stop at the border, and we parked in that parking lot and took the red bus. It's just this red bus you take in. It's like a mile. It costs $1. And I did buy some pharmaceuticals there. They were not steroids. I didn't go down and buy steroids. Then we started drinking, and actually went to a taco bar across the street from the strip bars, and we had some beers, and we went to, I think, 2 other bars and drank a lot of tequila. We did get pretty drunk. And she got her courage up, and she really wasn't sure if she was going to do this, and maybe I did, provoke her a little bit to do it. We went to the first bar, I think it was Bambi's. And arrangements were made for her to go on stage, and she went on the backstage.
So let me stop you. How were arrangements made? Look. How
went
were
up-
arrangements made for her to go on the stage?
I was kind of like her agent.
Well, Mr. Gallagher, that's a conclusion, sir. Tell me exactly what you did to
Went up to,
make these
one of the-
arrangements.
Grabbed one of the guys, like the Mexican guys that worked there that spoke English, and said she wants to dance. And then at first they look at her and like, yeah, but they try to play hardball. No, we can't have her up. And we negotiate back and forth.
What do you negotiate about?
Just to get her on,
What negotiating usually involves money.
Yeah, well, she's gonna
So
make
let me
money.
hear.
He wanted free
Oh,
drinks.
free beers for me.
Just a second. So you negotiated with one of the proprietors, or
I drank free, she got to dance. That was the negotiation. Oh, she got to drink free too, that was a given. And so we negotiated she was going to go on the backstage. I think she wanted to get on the front stage where she would make more money and have more exposure. This little room in the back with a small backstage. She gets up there and takes her clothes off, and hell breaks loose. I mean, they can't believe what they're seeing. She's very beautiful. I mean, the whole bar moves to the back where it's getting crowded while she's dancing and going off. And I mean, bottles start flying, and people are like getting so close to each other. And I mean, it was like a madhouse. And she starts, dancing. I got, kind of jealous of her, to see her doing that.
so you
but
got angry.
I got angry and I got jealous. It was
Seriously?
painful. No, I didn't get angry. I tried to keep in perspective. Tried to. And
But you had a lot of booze.
we were getting drunk. We were drinking.
Well, she wasn't drinking when she was up there dancing, but you were continuing to drink when
She
she
was
was
drinking when
up.
she got down, though.
But you were drinking while she was dancing.
Yeah, but not
Okay.
much her.
She came down and you got angry. Tell me what happened.
No, I
when
didn't get
she-
angry. When she came down, we decided to go to another bar where she could do the same thing because it was kind of wearing thin there and it got kind of violent. They were going crazy when they saw her. So we went to a bar next door.
Were you fond of this lady?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not rigid. Maybe it's my puritanical upbringing. That's not funny. That's not meant to be funny, sir. I just don't understand a man who would encourage. In fact, that I think she's nuts for wanting to do it in the first place.
Well, that's
but
what
a
she does
man
now.
who would encourage someone who he's fond of, negotiate, act as her agent.
Well, I make sure she's
That-
okay, and nothing would take place. I wasn't going to let anyone hurt her.
That's not what I'm talking about, sir. Usually there's a certain proprietary interest that
Well,
men
that's what
have
she
in
their
their women and women have in men that they like.
It was in
I
the
don't quite
secrecy.
understand you.
It was in the secrecy of Mexico where she would remain...
Order.
She would remain anonymous. No one would find out about this, and she could let her inhibitions go. And
His inhibition.
All right. Yours
She
too.
drugged me
Listen.
down there.
You went there before without him.
Yes.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That sounds pretty reasonable to me. Both acting like idiots.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Gallagher admits he became jealous when his girlfriend Julia danced in a strip club, but he says he didn't mean to cause the injury to her eardrum.
I want you to tell me she assaulted you because you called her a whore. Is that right?
In the second bar, I did made the horrible mistake of calling her a whore. I did. It was
Okay.
horrible.
And tell me about the assault that took place on you.
Well, first, she lied because I didn't just hand the girl money. I was standing there, I felt guilty. I'm next to this girl dancing, and I took one of her dollar bills that she'd just earned of hundreds, and I gave her one, and she got jealous and was pissed off.
Were you injured when she hit you?
The first 2 times she's hitting like a girl, it didn't hurt, and I did say, yeah, you hit like a girl, hit me again. She hit me again. Third time, she belted me so hard, my lip just exploded. Blood was coming out. It almost knocked me down. Believe it or not, she can hit pretty good.
Okay, and what about hitting you with the clog in your head? Just
Well,
hit you with the clog.
Federales are coming, and it's an emergency, so they stuff us in a cab, and we're driving, but we just keep arguing in the cab, arguing back and forth, and she hits me in the back of the head with a clog, and I barely remember that, except the next day I had a big bump on my head. We get through the United States, like she said, we go to the parking lot to use the bathroom before wherever we're going to go. We're going to drive. We're both drunk. And she gets passionate again. We start arguing. We had moments of calm and fury where we kind of calm down. And she's that way. She can fight good. So, you know, I'm going to tell you the truth. I was drunk at the time. I can't remember every detail that occurred. But I know that she was starting to get angry again. And I don't know if she was going to hit me or I thought she was going to hit me or she tried to. Can't remember. But I know that I grabbed her and I picked her up. And she was wrestling. And she went limp.
This was in the bathroom?
In the bathroom. And she was flailing, and I was drunk, and I didn't know that she hit her head. She just went limp in my hands. And she sunk down to the ground on her butt. And she sat there and looked up at me, and then she started to say she couldn't hear. And I really thought she was embellishing something. I didn't believe her at first. And she started to cry and scream and get more hysterical. And I didn't believe that she was hurt.
Ultimately, you took her to the hospital.
Now, ultimately, we ended up at the hospital. Her injuries are obviously real. The doctor found out that she had a bruise here in the back of her left ear, I think. Left ear. And she was, I don't know if she lost her hearing or not.
What did you originally offer to pay her to?
When the bills
help
came, we
offset-
she split it.
You'd split it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable
That's
to me.
why I asked
Both
him
acted like idiots. It sounds pretty reasonable to me that you should split it.
She probably did hit her head as a result of me lifting her up. I don't think on purpose. I know on purpose. I didn't try to hurt her.
After you arrived back in the United States and after this whole incident, did you continue to see each other?
Yes.
For how long?
About 4 more months until I kept catching him cheating on me. So I finally.
So you saw each other for 4 months after that? You had already gotten these bills?
Yes, I'd gotten it, and he's given me $25 on those
50.
bills.
I gave you 50.
25.
Did you ever take up this dancing as an occupation?
That's
Yes.
what I'm doing now.
Good, too.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julia wants her former boyfriend John Gallagher to pay the medical bills for an injury he caused when he became jealous over her appearance in a Tijuana strip club.
I have your medical bills at $1,800.
And then also, I was suing him for $300 because I had to get a restraining order against him.
That's your problem. Listen to me. Miss Opp, I think you made a big mistake. I think this whole escapade in Mexico was a big mistake, and I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying to you that getting drunk, and engaging in bar dancing with your boyfriend is not something that's designed to solidify a relationship in normal terms. Maybe I'm missing something. My kids might say to me, you know, you're operating in the 40s and 50s and 60s, mother, but I don't think so. I think still people who care for each other don't want to see other people slipping dollar bills in somebody's panties.
It wasn't that
Do you
bad.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sir, and certainly not acting as their agent, which is, to me, almost like acting under these circumstances like a pimp.
It was pretty innocent.
It's pretty nasty. So you ought to pay for, I'm not going to have him pay for the whole thing. You contributed to this ridiculousness. And as it happens, I believe that you contributed to it even more than you initially told me you did, because you went down there before with a girlfriend, which is something that you didn't tell me right away. You said you had never done anything like this before. Right? Isn't that what you told me?
Yeah.
All right. So your medical bills, you didn't have any medical bills from being clocked by her, did you?
No.
Your medical bills were $1,800 and you're going to pay for half. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
He lies, he cheats, he's not faithful. It just didn't work out between us.
We were drunk.
I don't get drunk.
You were drunk.
I
was drunk. You
I
were
get
drunk.
buzzed. If I get drunk, I get sick. I don't get drunk. He's the one who got me into dancing altogether. He dated all the dancers. I felt if I didn't become a dancer, he would keep cheating on
No,
me.
that's not true. She knows she's real hot.
All parties on Goldgart versus Robinson. Step forward.
46-year-old secretary Pam Goldgart is suing her short-term boyfriend, 41-year-old Steve Robinson, for keeping her stuff after she moved out. Steve is countersuing Pam for rent and putting his cat to sleep.
Order. All rise.
Thank you. Your Honor, it's case number 141 on the calendar in the matter of Goldgart versus Robinson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Miss Goldgart, according to your complaint, you dated the defendant on Monday, April 13th.
That's the first time I saw him.
You moved in with him on April 26th.
Yes.
On May 17th, he turned you out.
Yes.
Keeping your stuff.
Yes.
Could you tell me what prompts somebody to move in with a total stranger after less than 2 weeks?
Judge, I've been divorced for almost 12 years, and this man told me everything I'd ever wanted to hear from any man in my life.
That should have been your first clue.
Maybe you're right. You're absolutely You're absolutely right. You're right.
Okay. You moved in April 26th. Things went from bad to worse, and on May 17th, he told you to leave.
Yes, he did.
And you kept your stuff.
Yes, I did.
Why?
She owes me money.
For what?
Rent, also phone bills, utilities.
Just a second. She lived in your house for 3 weeks. I assume that things were not happy between you, which is why you told her to leave.
Right.
You live there with your children?
No,
You live there alone?
not now.
But you were living there alone when she moved in with you.
No.
Who was living there?
General.
Who are you?
I'm his girlfriend.
You mean that she was... Oh. Jay, I can't do this case if there's noise. Was she living there when you lived there?
No, it's the day that he kicked her out, he asked me to move in. The
day I moved
night
out.
I left, he asked her to come back.
Oh, Mr. Robinson. Just a second. What's your name?
Genora.
Genora. Step up here, Genora. This is getting really fascinating. How long were you with him before he told you to leave?
He didn't tell me to leave.
You left.
I moved.
You moved.
Because of this.
Because he told her to move in.
No, I moved and then he said move in. He didn't even know I was leaving.
And why were you leaving?
Because I knew he was with her.
How long had you been with him before she moved in?
About 1.5 years.
Well, now, when you lived there, were you working?
Yes, I was.
And you were paying bills?
Yes, we split everything half and half.
So you had an oral agreement with him that you would split the bills down the middle?
Yes.
And sir, you did not have that arrangement with the plaintiff?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't, sir. Because even according to your answer, you say that you didn't have that agreement with her. According to your answer, you say, because it didn't work out and she moved out, I said that now she owes me for rent. So you didn't have that agreement with her when she moved in.
We had talked about sharing utilities, rent, phone bills.
When did you talk about it?
Before she moved in.
Is that right?
No.
No, you didn't, Mr. Robinson.
I have long distance phone calls from Pittsburgh to Pennsylvania with her kids. And
I have no problem with paying the bill, Your Honor.
The phone bill?
Correct.
That's fine. How much
Prior
is the
to
phone
that,
bill?
we had not made
How much is the phone bill?
Well, also, Your Honor, we haven't got another bill yet from when before she moved out. I haven't
Oh, Mr.
received that.
Robinson, let me tell you something. You seem to need to have a woman around you all the time, sir.
That's part of-
Somebody to take care of you, somebody to take care of your house and everything else. I don't understand, but you seem to be able to get it. Give me the long-distance phone bill.
$12.50. Your Honor.
$12.50?
Yes.
$12.50. Perfect. Now, you have her stuff.
I have an itemized list also,
He's
Your
going to
Honor.
give you back all your stuff. Let me see. You moved in with a television?
Yes, I did.
You have a television?
A small one in the bedroom.
Whatever it is. You have her television that she
Yes,
moved
ma'am.
in with. And you have her entertainment wall unit.
Yes.
And you have her forehead VCR.
Yes.
And you have her queen size comforters?
Yes.
Comforter.
And bed.
Okay.
Judge, I
and-
have no problem getting this back to her.
Good. Perfect. Okay, now, so all of her things, within 72 hours, you arrange for the pickup. Okay. Now let's get to his counterclaim. I've already decided that he's not entitled to any rent, and I've already decided he's not entitled to any utilities but the $12 long-distance phone bill that you agreed to pay. The only part of his counterclaim that I am going to consider, and I want to hear about, is the fact that you took his cat and had his cat put to sleep. So that I want to hear about.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The very day that you found out that the cat was gone, you would have done everything in your power to locate it. Not 5 days, not 4 days, not 3 days, not 2 days. That very day, you would have been in your car scouring every animal shelter in the city to try to find it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pam Goldgart and Steve Robison lived together for a brief time. Now, Pam is suing Steve for keeping her belongings, and Steve is suing Pam for rent and putting his cat to sleep.
Now let's get to his counterclaim.
Okay, that's one of the reasons I brought my daughter. When I moved in, I knew that he had a cat, that he was attached to the cat, the children were attached to the cat. I didn't tell him that I was allergic to cats. I thought, Pam, maybe it's a mind over matter type of thing. You can deal with it. I thought I was in love with the man. I was willing to deal with anything that came along with him. After a few days, the allergies just took over. He came in the living room one day. The allergies had taken over my eyes. They were tearing. He asked me what I was crying about. I said, I have to be very honest with you. I'm allergic to cats. He said, then the cat has to go. About a week went by. Nothing happened with the cat. I said, Steve, I have to do something about the cat. I was completely stuffed up. So he said, fine, do whatever you have to do as far as the cat. I called the animal control. The woman I spoke to had basically reassured me as far as not putting the animals to sleep. I never would have agreed to do what I did if I had known the animal would have been put to sleep. And this is what I found out from him a few days later, that the cat had been killed. I didn't know that. I would not have done that. I called the animal control. They said they would come and get the cat, which they did.
Did you tell him you were doing that?
The night before, he said, let's do what we have to do with the cat tomorrow.
Let's is a contraction for let us.
Right.
So that's your first mistake. It's his cat. Let him take care of it.
Right, right.
So did you tell him that I'm calling animal control? Or you just figured that by his statement, let us take care of it, that let's take care of it, that he was giving you carte blanche to do whatever you wanted to do?
That's basically what.
So you didn't tell him what you were doing?
The night before we had discussed it, he said, let's do whatever we have to do tomorrow to take care of the cat.
Listen, my question to you is, you didn't say, I'm calling animal control.
No, he was not home. He was out for a job interview at that particular time that I called.
Now let's hear your version of the cat.
That cat was my children's cat. Okay. Now, I did not tell her to take it to the ground. We did not discuss it the night before.
No, okay. But let's talk about
I said
Mr. Robinson.
We need to find a place for the cat.
So you did have discussions about the cat because of her allergies.
Yes, ma'am.
And her allergies weren't getting any better.
Right.
And at that point, you anticipated that you were going to be together, I assume.
Right.
The night before, you say you had no discussion, and your only discussion with her was, we're going to have to find something to do with the cat.
Right. But not take it to the pound. No way.
Okay. What did you say to her about the cat?
I said that, yes, we need to find a place for it to live. Adopt.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much what she says. She says that she had no idea that they were going to euthanize this cat, and she thought that they were going to find it a home. What happened when you came home and found the cat not there? Tell me exactly.
She said to me, you're going to be mad at me. And I said, why? She said, I put the cat in the box, stuck it up at the rental office, and called the animal control.
Okay. So you immediately called animal control.
I couldn't get through to where the cat was, so I called Genora. And they said,
what you called Genora for?
Because she had access to a phone longer than I did. I was busy.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson, listen to me carefully. Somebody tells you, the woman that you're living with tells you that your children's cat is just given to animal control. You are totally taken aback. I don't care what else you have to do. You pick up the phone and you call. You don't call the old girlfriend to tell her to take care of your dirty business. I mean, I don't know. Genora, I want you to wake up, Genora. Just listen carefully, Genora. When did you finally call animal control, sir?
The next day, because she stated to me that there was going to be put for adoption. That she.
You called the next day.
Right.
And are you telling me that the next day they told you that they put the animal to sleep?
No, not at all. We could not get through. I couldn't even find the city where the cat was at. I
When
called
did you
Genoa.
find? Don't tell me you called Genoa. How old are you? How old are you?
41.
What are you calling her for? Take care of your own business. When did you finally find out that the cat had been euthanized, sir?
On the 5th day.
On day 5.
Right.
You finally got unbusy enough to find out where the cat was.
Yes, ma'am.
And they told you after 5 days the cat had been put down.
On the 4th day, it was euthanized.
Okay. Was it about the time that he found out the cat had been put to sleep that he told you to leave?
No, he found out after I left. After he asked me to leave, he then found out where the cat was located, tried to get the cat back, and then found out that the cat was no longer alive.
Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
How much after she left?
2 days.
1 day.
1 day. 1 day.
Yeah.
Could you sit down?
Sorry.
So you waited until after she left to find out where your cat was? Or you managed to find out where your cat was 1 day after
Right.
she left?
Immediately after she left.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
If you knew that he was making payments on the card on your behalf because you had no money, then you knew it wasn't a gift. So stop pulling my chain.
closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Pam Goldgart is suing her short-term boyfriend, Steve Robinson, for keeping her stuff after she moved out. Steve is countersuing Pam for rent and putting his cat to sleep.
All right. I'm going to make the following order. All of your property is to be made available to you within 72 hours of this court date.
Okay.
I am awarding Mr. Robeson $12 for the phone bill.
Okay.
Mr. Robeson, I was appalled when I read your countersuit where it said she took your cat and without your permission, without your children's permission, had the cat put to sleep. I mean, it sounded like something that a psychotic would do. But now that I hear this story, it seems to me that you had discussion. She was ill. The woman that you were living with at the time couldn't tolerate the cat. You tried to find an alternative home. I don't believe that she actually knew that the cat was going to be put to sleep at the time that she gave the cat to animal control. And I found that if you were so sincerely interested in having this cat returned to you, the very day that you found out that the cat was gone, you would have done everything in your power to locate it. It was not 5 days, not 4 days, not 3 days, not 2 days. That very day, you would have been in your car scouring every animal shelter in the city to try to find it. Not telling me that you're too busy and you called the old girlfriend to try to get a number. So I think that your countersuit is a lot of baloney. That's the judgment of the court. All the property within 72 hours and $12 for you for the phone bill. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
The woman's a cat killer. I never got permission to do this. I was never going to be rid of the cat anyway. I was going to keep that cat. She was going before the cat.
I didn't kill his cat. I never would have done that.
She needs to get her stuff back and get on with her life and put this all behind her. It was a big mistake.
And now the next case.
Parties on Moore versus Ryan. Step forward, please.
Hairdresser Rosie Moore claims manicurist Deborah Lynn Walton charged clothes on her credit card during the time she was engaged to Rosie's son, 29-year-old Timothy Moore. The engagement ended. Now Rosie wants Deborah Lynn to pay her back.
Mrs. Moore, according to your complaint, the defendant was engaged to your son.
Right.
And that while they were engaged, you allowed her to charge some clothes that she wanted on your credit card.
Right.
Son?
Yes, that's my son, Tim.
They broke up.
Yes.
She didn't pay the bill.
Right.
She says clothes were a gift.
Yes.
Okay. So let's hear about it.
We worked together in the same salon. She complained she had no clothes to wear because she had lost several pounds, and she was always complaining. Anyways, as a friend, as a future mother-in-law, I took her in like a daughter, took her into my own home, matter of fact, to live with me. Anyways, I told her I had this credit card that I don't have any expenses on, that I knew we could go in, we could charge, and you can make the payments on it. So we went in, she bought about several little pieces that mixed and matched and made about 4 or 5 outfits, over $300 worth. That was fine. I signed. She took the clothes home, and we were fine, and she was going to make the payment. She made several payments. Well, after a few payments that she had made, she had took on the back of the statements and changed the address to her address.
Does that sound right to you?
Mm-hmm. And also, I guess, gave herself authority to have or authorization on my credit card, which I knew nothing about.
Now you get a big bill.
Now at Christmas time, I go to use it again to find something for presents. And the lady tells me that with my charge plus cash payment that I would have my credit card maxed out. And I couldn't believe it because I hadn't used it since I had used it last on
Did
her.
you ascertain how much the balance was?
Over $700, $713.
You have a statement?
Yes.
I see it, please.
The $713 was that she
okay, let me see what you have.
owed me, and then that's the proof of the last couple of payments that I have made. And that's the balance of today and the June payment also.
You say the balance was $713.35. Is that correct?
In December, right.
Now, before you dig a hole for yourself and try to explain to me why this was a gift, I have a few questions.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
If this was a gift, why would you have anything to do with the bills?
For one, her son, she would, call at home and say that she, was short of money, she needed to pay this bill or that bill. Make sure that you bring something for that. He would make out. I never had a checking account. I never even made payments. I would give cash to him and he would make the payments.
What you're telling me is it was he who paid the bill?
Correct.
Your name, sir?
Timothy Moore.
Mr. Moore, the defendant says that you were the one who actually paid this bill on a monthly basis for a period of time. Look at me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that true?
No.
Was the account changed in her name or in his name?
Neither. It was it was always in my name.
I
She
know.
gave herself authorization to charge on my account.
Her, not him.
Right.
Not your son.
No.
I'd love to explain.
I'm ready.
It all started when I came back from Dallas, Texas. We were open arms, welcome back, into Rosie's home. And at the time, I was working with basically a zero clientele. I had no money, and that's when the initial purchase was made.
Well, just tell me how that came about. She said to you, I have a credit card that has a zero balance at this department store. You can find yourself some things.
Right.
The bills would come. She would give you the bill, and you would pay it.
No, I personally would not pay it. Timothy would. Because I didn't make any money.
Just a second. So he would pay it because you weren't earning any money at that time, but
Correct.
you knew he was making the payments on
Correct.
the card.
Correct.
Well, therefore, madam, you knew that this wasn't a gift. If you knew that he was making payments on the card on your behalf because you had no money, then you knew it wasn't a gift. So stop pulling my chain. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $713.35. That's all.
Without excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Hopefully, maybe we can work on a friendship now. Bygones be bygones, I guess.
I think she definitely was deceitful in the whole matter. She always has been, because she always likes to tell stories.
Maybe this will turn her life around and she'll move forward and try not to do this anymore.
On Heron versus Brown, step forward, please.
45-year-old contractor Vincent Herron claims that Helen Brown's 16-year-old son, Don Trail, made his 16-year-old daughter pregnant. Denise lost the baby. Now Vincent wants them to share the medical costs.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Judge, this is number 84 on the calendar in the matter of Herron versus Brown. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
This is a sad case. Sit down. Pay attention to me, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Herron, this is your daughter, I assume.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant, who is the mother of this young man, I assume.
Yes, I am.
Because you say that her son made your daughter pregnant. She had a miscarriage. Your medical bills for the miscarriage were almost $2,000. And you want her to pay half. Is that what this lawsuit is about?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I'd like you to step up here. You too. When did your daughter tell you she was pregnant?
The
The date was. What was the date? Don't
September, I believe.
It was around the end of September. That's when I learned of it.
Were you dating?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
I know what the lawsuit is with regard to Mr. Heron. I'd like to hear from you as to why you don't believe you should be responsible for half of these medical bills. Your son is how old, 16?
16, yes. First of all, I don't believe that I'm responsible for half these medical bills because there was never a paternity test to prove that Dontrell was the father. Plus, all the stress that her dad put on her after he found out she was pregnant. I think it was about the latter part of August, I got a call from Mr. Heron telling me that Denise had got caught shoplifting a home pregnancy test, and he was really upset and telling me that he had been nice to Dontrell and Dontrell took advantage. And when I told him, well, it wasn't all Dontrell's fault, and then he tells me, well, yeah, she's the one that came to your house like a common and laid up with them. And so then the next thing I know, she's crying, saying that he had beat her.
Who beat her?
Her father, because he wasn't gonna let her have a, can I say the word?
I would prefer you didn't.
Okay, well, baby. And she stayed with her friends' houses, and even my daughter was concerned about her and was gonna let her stay with her because she was going through a bunch of turmoil. And I feel that all the stress that he put on her, and first of all, you know that being pregnant for the first time, you're scared as it is.
Well, it should. How old are you?
16.
16?
And to have undue stress and pressure put on you by someone that's supposed to be protecting you then. So I feel that he caused a miscarriage by all the stress, and that there was never a paternity test to say that Dontrell was a father. I don't see how he can tell me that I'm responsible for half the medical bills.
Mr. Heron, I'd like to hear from you.
Yes. This is absurd for them to even suggest that her son is not the father. It's an insult and it's appalling.
Well, I don't think it's an insult and it's appalling, Mr. Heron, at all. Quite frankly. But I'll address that. I'll address that first, and then I'll get to the stress part.
I would like to say that my daughter has been an honor student for her tenure in school. She's currently the treasurer of her high school. She was elected that. She doesn't sleep around or fool around or anything. This was the only boy that she had been seeing. And the first time I met this young man was he had been arrested for drugs at his junior high school. And Helen here, she's is pulling in anything. This stuff about beating Denise is just totally absurd.
Is that true, sir?
It's absolutely not.
Did your father hit you, Denise?
No. No.
Would you tell me if he did?
Yes.
There's
Mr. Heron, what Ms. Brown is saying is not so bizarre as you may think, sir. Two 16-year-olds having sex unprotected, whether it was with him or with anybody else, is stupid. Two 16-year-olds having sex is stupid. Two 16-year-olds having unprotected sex is more stupid, or as my grandson would say, stupider. So, while I'm certain that Dontrell would probably stand up here and proclaim from the rooftops that this was his baby, is that right?
Yes. Well, even after the miscarriage, they stopped by the house. She even offered to help Denise raise the child. You know,
His mother is a little more practical. His mother says, I'm not sure, because 16-year-old with all that testosterone flowing says, yes, the baby is mine. His mother says, how can you be sure?
Well, it's the only thing she has for her defense. This is her defense in chief, and it's all she's got.
Well, Mr. Heron, it's a very good defense, sir.
Well, when I asked her to didn't offer, a dime, she knows deep in her heart. She professes to be a Christian and to come to this court and even suggest that he's not the father.
That's not what she's suggesting, sir. She's not suggesting that he's not the father.
But there's a possibility that...
What she's saying is, under the law, in this jurisdiction and in every other jurisdiction, when you have a child out of wedlock, there is no presumption as who the father is. And in order to determine that, we now have very sophisticated testing to determine parentage of children. You know about those tests. They have blood tests, they have DNA tests, and they can prove within 100% who's the father of that child. Mm-hmm. What Ms. Heron is saying is, under the law, there is no proof that Dontrell is the father of this child. When you're married, it's a different story. When you're married, the law presumes that you are.
So we're left to go with a preponderance of the evidence here, which my daughter doesn't sleep around. They know that. They know what kind of girl she is. She doesn't have time for it. She's an honor student. She's, keep track of her, as best
You didn't keep track of her very well, sir.
But if she was such an
Just a
honor-
second, you didn't keep track of her very well.
Well, I said as best I can. I do operate a business, and
Mr. Herron, that's what Ms. Brown is saying.
But if she was such an honorable student and such an honorable person, she wouldn't have swore to tell the truth and then turned around and lied that you never beat her.
you're the one who's...
Because why did you-
Listen to me, don't fight with each other. Did you tell Dontrell, who was your boyfriend, that your father hit you at some point in the kitchen in your home? Because that's what's in these papers. Did you tell? No, look at me. Don't look at the floor, Ms. Herron. Did you tell that to him?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If my 16-year-old daughter came home pregnant, I guarantee you there'd be a lot of stress in my household. A lot of stress.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. The father of 16-year-old Denise Herron wants Helen Brown to pay the medical cost for Denise's miscarriage because he says Helen's son, Dontrell, was the father.
Did you tell Dontrell, who was your boyfriend, that your father hit you?
Yes. Yes, I was upset.
So you told that to Dontrell, that your father hit you. What did you tell him about your father hitting you?
What do you mean, what did I tell?
I want you to tell me what you told him.
I said that he was yelling and got mad at me and started hitting on me.
Where did he hit you? Where did he hit you?
He didn't. I just told him that I was upset.
Well, why would you tell him that?
Because I was scared he was going to.
So what you did was you told Dontrell a lie. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you understand, Mr. Herron?
Yeah, I understand that I'm out $2,000 in medical bills for an instance that I'm not responsible for. And
listen, you are responsible for it. You are responsible for it because this is your daughter.
Yeah, I can't watch all the time just saying that she can't watch her son, but nonetheless, we're responsible for our minor's actions.
Absolutely
now, I'm
right,
willing
sir.
to accept the risk, but why should the burden of this whole thing be placed on me?
Mr. Herron, if your daughter had not had this miscarriage, and if she had had a child, and if there was a paternity test, if there was a paternity test, and if it was established that this young man was the father of the child, he would be responsible for the support of that child, along with your daughter, until the child reached age 21. Right now, what Ms. Brown is saying is that while she believes probably that Dontrell is the father of this child, she's not certain. And she's not certain because of the miscarriage, there is no opportunity to conduct blood tests. And they are not married, so the law does not presume her son is the father of this child. So she doesn't feel as if she should be responsible. And in the law,
she's certain. She knows. It's
How does she know? Listen, the only way you can be certain is if you were there.
That's true. The only that she knows, though she's not admitting to it. She knows. If you ask her in her heart if she feels that there could be anybody other than her son, what would you say, Helen? Does Denise
What's in
sleep
my
around?
heart? I don't know what Denise does. I don't watch
Tell the
Denise.
court what you think.
I don't watch Denise 24 hours a day, but up until this
Does
point,
you don't watch him 24 hours.
May I speak, please? I really, like I said, when all of this happened, Denise came to me and I opened up my home and I was there for her. And I really had hoped that she would be lady enough to tell the truth here. But if she can stand here and lie and say that he never hit her and he didn't put her out, why should I believe that it was my son's baby? Because it's so easy for her to tell one lie, she could have told another lie.
Well, what she's already done is she's acknowledged here, after some prodding, that she did, in fact, she says, lie to your son about her father beating her. Now, whether her father beat her or not is really not the issue. But it is an indication that your daughter is able to lie, sir. Because she says she lied to him. You understand that? And I understand where you're coming from. You say, listen, there should be two people's responsibility.
Well,
I absolutely agree with you, Mr.
Quite
Herron.
a bit of lying going on. It seems as if Mr. Trell here would be following in his father's footsteps, who I guess is...
What does his father have to do with
Mr. Herron, don't bring... I would suggest, sir, that you not bring other matters into this case which really bear no relevance to it. Dontrell, I'm going to tell you this. You believe that you were the father of this child?
Yes.
Then you pay back Mr. Herron. You understand?
Yes.
Then you, sir, have a moral, if not a legal obligation, to do that. Now, you go to school?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
What do you work at?
At a senior citizen's home.
How much do you get paid?
$5 an hour.
And what do you do with that money?
Oh, I haven't gotten paid.
Speak up, sir.
I haven't gotten paid yet, man.
When did you start working there?
It's just a summer job.
And you're going to keep that summer job?
Yes.
Well, then I would suggest, Mr. Brown, that if you want to try to get back into this family's reasonable graces, you're never going to get into their good graces, but reasonable, and assume some sort of moral responsibility for an act that you probably had something to do with, you will see to it that each time you get a paycheck, Mr. Heron gets a check or a money order. Do you understand? Hey,
Yes.
what are you looking? Where are you looking all over the place? Do you understand that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You got to learn to keep your pants zipped up, sir.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vincent Heron says Helen Brown's teenage son made his teenage daughter pregnant, so they should share the medical costs.
Your mother is quite correct. She's not responsible because they're not able to establish, because there's no baby here, that you're the father of this child. If you believe that you are, sir, you pay for it. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, are you going to do it?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Now, I don't listen.
I'm the only one lying here.
Just a second. I'm telling you this. I don't know whether you two young people still see each other, either with your parents' knowledge or without their knowledge. But if there is any remote possibility that you will have a long-term relationship, any, you better start paying back Mr. Heron. And listen to me, Denise. Look at me. I'm not going to ask you whether you still see him, because I'm not going to create any more difficulty than already exists. But if he doesn't start making those payments starting this week when he gets paid to your father, I would suggest to you that he does not have the kind of character that you want to hook up with permanently. Do you understand? Hmm?
Yes.
Good.
Your Honor, would a preponderance of the evidence suggest here that if he says that he's the father, I know that he is, Denise knows, Helen knows, but wouldn't the preponderance of the evidence indicate that I should get some kind of judgment?
Absolutely not, sir.
No.
Absolutely not, sir.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a preponderance. Listen to
As much in
me.
her favor as it is in mine.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You could bring anybody in off the street and say, I believe that they're the father of this unborn child. I want to be paid half of my outlay of medical costs. The only question that I asked your daughter here today, Mr. Heron, was whether or not you beat her. She said initially no. Then we went back to her and I said, did you tell him that your father beat you? She said yes. Listen to me. You say it never happened. That means somebody is lying. Do you understand?
There's no record of violence at our house at all.
No, listen to me. Your daughter said, Mr. Heron, that she told Dontrell that you beat her. That was, therefore, according to you, a lie. Is that right?
What does that have to do with the responsibility of the medical bills here? This is what I'm suing for.
Mr. Heron, you wanted, in order for you to establish, to my satisfaction, by a preponderance of the evidence, sir, that this unborn child was his child, I would have to believe...
He said, I said it, she said. She's
I would have to believe your daughter. In a situation where the law in this jurisdiction does not hold any presumption of paternity. I am not prepared to do that. The only thing I am prepared to do is to make a moral judgment that if this young man believes that he is the father of this child, then he has the moral responsibility at age 16 to defray some of the medical costs. But his mother does not have that responsibility, because she is entitled to know whether her son fathered this child before she puts her hand in her pocket.
But yet I'm responsible for my mind and she's not responsible for hers, you know.
No, sir, unfortunately, as the father of a daughter, that's true. That's true. It seems somewhat inequitable. That's what they have paternity tests for, sir.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Could I suggest this without the paternity test to indicate that it's 1 in a million chance? Is there a possibility to get part of the judgment? I mean, instead of saying that I'm wrong totally, I mean...
No, Mr. Heron, I just told you he's supposed to pay the whole $900 because that's half of your medical bills, $900 and some odd dollars. What is it?
With me saying that I think the baby is mine, but would it matter the cause of the miscarriage?
No. Doesn't matter the cause of the miscarriage, sir. That's what you put in your answer. You say because her father placed her under a great deal of stress. Listen to me. I'm going to get on his case. I want you to be quiet. What you're saying is because her father placed her under a great deal of stress, that caused the miscarriage. And therefore, you shouldn't be responsible. I want to tell you something. If my 16-year-old daughter came home pregnant, right, and the father, she said, was another 16-year-old who went to high school, I guarantee you there'd be a lot of stress in my household. A lot of stress. You got to learn to keep your pants zipped up, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Keep yourself busy. Get 2 jobs. Think. Use your brain. You know, this is the time for you to use your brain. I know using other parts of your anatomy don't require that much effort, all right? But get 2 jobs because he's out money, and if what you believe is true, that you are the father of this child, if you believe that, then you have a responsibility, even at age 16, to help defray the costs. We understand each other?
Yes.
That's all.
All right, so excuse you may step out. Out the back, go to your right, please.
On the next Judge Judy. Alyssa goes with Steve. Steve and Maria had a baby. Alyssa says Maria keyed her Mustang.
Don't give me a lot of balloon. I know everything.
Real people, Judge Judy.
We discussed this in here. I don't want to get into it. If you want to question them, I'm through with the case.
This is really ludicrous that we'd have to be drug into court behind it. I mean, I thought it was a joke when he told me that he was suing me. I really did, because I didn't see how he could. I wouldn't want him to be seeing her anyway, because I don't trust this guy, because he's a total nutcase. He's a totally unbalanced, and if he was to catch them together, if he beat up his own daughter, I'd hate to see what he did to my son.
I just think he was trying to get more money than what the bill wasn't really no $900. His insurance paid for half of it, so he's trying to get more into his pocket.
Party's on Fry versus Alexander. Step forward, please.
28-year-old model Tanya Fry claims professional photographer Sean Alexander sexually harassed her during a studio session and did not return her slides. Sean's witness, Vanessa Gill, says he's a total professional.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom.
Judge, number 42 on the calendar in the matter of Fry versus Alexander. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You're a model?
Yes.
Aspiring?
Yes.
So you have to smile. Mr. Alexander, you're a photographer.
Yes, I am.
You needed pictures?
Yes.
You hired him to take pictures?
Yes.
Now you're suing him
Yes.
for $1,000. Right? That's what you said.
They went up to $2,000 as of this morning.
Well, the papers that I have are for $1,000.
Good.
So why don't you tell me about this arrangement and why you think he owes you any money?
Well, he didn't agree to what we agreed in the first place.
Where did you meet him? Let's start with that.
At the modeling management. Model? It's a model management.
Is that a company?
Agency.
An agency?
Modeling agency.
Was he referred to you by someone?
Well, he was there with my manager, and he showed me his pictures, his book, which was really good, that he took of other models. And yes, they did tell me his work was good. So, yes.
And what was the arrangement, the financial arrangement that you had with him?
I had to pay him, he said $250.
I didn't hear you.
It was $250, and that was for the photo shoot. I was getting 2 rows of pictures.
You were getting 2 rolls of pictures, or he was shooting 2 rolls of
He
pictures?
was going to shoot 2 rows of film. He said I would get 2 rows, which would be 72 pictures that I would get. Okay.
That you would get to keep?
That I would get, yes. That's what you do when you take pictures. You get your proof sheet, you get your negatives and your slides.
And what else was he supposed to give you for this $250?
Well, after I received the pictures from him, he does other things, or he does half of the job. You know, like the background change or the eye change or different things he do extra to the pictures. So that would be extra amount, right? Extra amount of money. I know about that. Okay, extra amount of money. So I paid for 4, which was $100. He said, and I have those 4.
4 photographs that you paid for out of your contact sheets.
This was
And that was $25 a piece, or another $100.
It was $100 for 4.
Okay.
Okay, I received those.
Then we went back to the pictures. He brought some of the pictures. He said I would need 7 or 8 more pictures. So we picked 7 more pictures.
7 additional ones?
Additional ones.
At what cost?
$175. And then, because at the photo shoot, he only took cash. For these 4 pictures, he only took cash. He said only cash. Okay, so with these additional ones, only had a checkbook and I had no more money. So I post-dated the check. He didn't want to take it, but before I left, he said he would take the check. So I post-dated the $175 check for those 7 additional pictures.
How long did you post-date the check for?
It was, about a week. Because it was, the week Thursday, it was next Thursday, so it was a week.
Okay.
Which he had cashed it before the post-dated check. You understand? I didn't know they can do that, but
I didn't know either.
But he did, because
Okay.
I called the bank.
Okay.
Because I did not receive those 7 pictures, and I had been calling him, he wouldn't return my phone calls to get me those pictures.
So that's what you're suing him for?
Yeah, for those pictures, and then the slides that I want also. The rest of my pictures, the slides.
You want the contact sheets and the negatives?
Yes.
Now, sir, let's start with the 7 pictures first. You cashed her check for $175,
Yes, I did.
and that was for 7 pictures.
7 pictures.
Where are 7 pictures?
They're right here.
Take them out.
I mean, I have no problem with her testimony all the way to the end.
Okay.
Because, she's just about right. I mean, we had an agreement, and what happened was that she said, I went out of my way to make this arrangement for her. Starting from the beginning, I charge $150 a roll. 2 rolls, $150 times 2 is $300. She bargained it down, and she knows that. She said, I'd like to shoot with you. I've seen your work. It's great. I said, okay, you know what? I'll make it $250, but that's it. She comes to the shoot. We'll do 2 rolls. In the middle of the session, of course, when I'm shooting, I ask the client, I finished the rolls. Do you want to go on? And I added 1 extra roll, and I did not even charge her for it. And so I finished the job. She was very happy. When it came to the ordering, she just kept saying she doesn't have the money. I even went out of my way. What I did was I went ahead and printed the pictures without asking any money for it. I said, you know what? I'm so confident that you're going to like the pictures. So I'll show you. Just pay me when you pick it up. She saw it. She liked it. And she ordered some more. But then again, we had money problem. And she said, well, can I post the check? I said, sure, you can. I mean, I know you're good for it. You've been paying me. I have no problem with her. She's a very nice lady. I mean, I don't know why we are even here. But, she posted the check, and I told her, I said, number 1, your check is posted for a week. I have to wait until I cash it because, I'm not going to
That's reasonable.
Yeah, and number 2, I was going to go out of town for a week. I mentioned that to her, and I said, when I come back, I pick up the picture and I'll give it to you.
How long did it take you to do the other 7 pictures after she had given you the check? No, not usually. In this case, how long was it before you completed those pictures?
About a week to 10 days.
Okay. Can I see the photographs?
Sure.
I would really like to see them. Now, the only other thing that I have to ask you, sir, is about this arrangement where she would get all the negatives and the
It's not my practice whatsoever. I have hundreds of receipts here that I always mention on the bottom of my receipts. If they ask for it, I'll write it down. I do not include the picture. I do not include any negative or slides. It is just for the session. I charge $150 just to shoot. I even brought my witness that we just shot yesterday, and this is my just a very last and desperate attempt to get somebody because I had somebody to show up today and she canceled, so she had to shoot. I had a model was supposed to be here.
Well, what is she going to tell me if she would testify?
She was going to actually just basically how I charge people and how we, I usually,
All I can tell you, Miss Fry, is these are terrific. Have you seen them?
I never see.
Well, I would love you to take a look at them. I think that they're really exceptional.
No, I've never said that he does do good work, but I have another comment about the amount actually was $2,000. Posted in
Whether it was $2,000, I don't know what you're suing for $2,000 for. Just a second. I don't know what you would be suing for $1,000 or $2,000 for.
Right.
To be honest with you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was behind me, okay, grabbing my rear, telling me again how attractive my butt looked, how good it looked, making all these sexual comments.
And later today,
Tying their shoelaces together, sir, is a far cry from using a cigarette lighter and setting somebody on fire.
real cases, real people, Judge Judy. Photographer Sean Alexander denies that he took liberties with model Tanya Fry during a photo session, and his witness Vanessa Gill says Sean has a spotless reputation.
Now you have all 7 pictures that you paid for.
Okay,
right, just a second.
Any
Just a second. And I think that if you had not had a final written agreement with regard to these negatives, I would not award you the negatives because I don't believe it's custom in the industry for a photographer to give away the value of his trade, because that means that you can take these negatives and go into any photocopy store and say, I want you to make me pictures. Well, that's how he makes his money, because $250 for a photo shoot is very reasonable, right?
More than reasonable.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So photographers make their money, professional photographers, over the other pictures that you keep ordering from them. So I think it's unreasonable for you to ask for those. He was supposed to shoot 2 rolls, and from those shot rolls, you were going to select the pictures that you were going to order. In this case, you ordered a total of 11 pictures.
Shot extra rolls.
Well, that wasn't said. The said was you'll get 72 pictures, which would be more than enough what you would need for your book. So
I still don't understand why you're suing
And I
him
think
for.
she's-
Well,
I still don't understand why you're suing him for $2,000. Then we'll get to this watch that you're holding. Is that her watch?
Yeah, I think that's what it
is.
is. Cost $2,000. I don't know. I mean, that's
then-
what you.
Just a second. Was that left during the photo shoot?
Yes.
So give it back to her.
And then
Take your watch.
the other incident was the harassment.
What kind
during
of harassment?
The photo shoot, the sexual harassment.
I can't believe this.
That was
All right. So you're suing for sexual harassment. Let me hear. Is that
Okay.
what the
Yes.
money is for? Let me hear.
changing in the room.
In what room?
It was in the dressing room at this house.
I have a
That's-
makeup.
I'm going to get to you. Go ahead.
It was during this shoot that I was changing from the bathing suit to get in this position. He was behind me, okay, grabbing my rear, telling me all these accusations, how sexy, how attractive, ooh, how this looks so good. My behind, grabbing it. That was one incident. This
Just a second. At
photo
what sta-
shoot right here.
Just a second. At what stage was this?
During the photo shoot, toward the end of the photo shoot.
Go ahead.
Okay. During this photo shoot, he told me I had to raise it up more, the dress, put it up or on the side. So he came over there behind me. He did it again. Hit me on the butt, telling me again how attractive my butt looked, how good it looked, making all these sexual comments. I was ready to leave. I told him, don't say that, don't do that. I said I was ready to go. Are we done?
Did that happen, sir?
It's total bogus. Let me tell you, throughout the photo shoot, I do make the models feel comfortable, and I do say certain things so they are comfortable. I pose them. I do whatever it's necessary to make him look good, and that's what the pictures are the proof. You can tell. But as far as you were, she said she was ready to leave. She was ready to leave to have. We even said maybe want to go get something to eat. That's as far as I left it at the photo shoot, and that was it.
Miss Fry, I have a couple of questions for you. You did this photo shoot. Towards the end of the photo shoot, you tell me now you believe he sexually harassed you. You stayed, correct? You stayed. Is that right?
But I told him, don't do it.
And after the photo shoot was concluded, you got the proofs back, right? And you selected 4 photographs. So far, am I right? And you were satisfied with them, you ordered them. Is that right?
I mean, you should.
Do I look like I need help?
No.
Ms. Fry, look at me.
Yes.
You ordered 4 pictures.
Yeah.
And you were satisfied with them. You told them they were very good, and so good you wanted more pictures, correct?
Yes.
If you had gotten your 7 pictures when you felt you should have gotten them, which was a couple of weeks ago, would I hear sexual harassment from you? Would I
If I would
hear
have
these
gotten-
allegations of sexual harassment from you?
Yes, because they were true. It happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How many photographers have you been with? Several.
Really? You seem to be a little bit naive to me on the situation. I'm
Well,
sorry
who
for
are
that.
you? You need to shut up and mind your own business.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Model Tanya Fry is suing photographer Sean Alexander over slides and alleged harassment.
Is what you're saying to me, you planned on suing him whether he gave you the pictures or not?
About the sexual harassment?
Is what you're telling me
Yeah.
that you intended when you left,
right,
or a day later or 2 days later, whether or not you got these photographs, you intended to sue him for $2,000 for sexually harassing you?
Oh, no. I was not sure of what I was going to do about those sexual
Well, what
harassment
made you sure?
charges. I wanted to let them know what was done to me during
What
the photo
made,
shoot.
no, what I'm asking you is, at what point did you become sure that you wanted to sue him for this sexual harassment after you ordered the first set of pictures, before you ordered the first set of pictures, when you ordered the second set of
The
pictures?
second, that's when I found out that I could not get my slides or negatives when he told me he was not going to give them to me because he keep them for his record.
So you determined to sue him for this $2,000 for sexual harassment when he declined to give you the negatives. Is that correct?
When I didn't get all of my things.
Very good. Okay, you now have your photographs. Is that correct?
I have some of them.
No, you have all of them. You have all that you ordered, which were the 7 retouched large photographs. And you have the 4 that he originally gave you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you, sir, have been paid $175 for these,
Yes.
and you have been paid the $100 for the other 4.
Yes.
Correct? And you have been paid $250 for the photo shoot.
Yes.
Very good. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm sorry, Tanya, but I think, you went a little bit out of line.
No, I did
You know
not.
I did everything
No,
I
I did
could.
not.
You know I did everything
No,
I
I did
could,
not.
okay? I think the judge saw the whole thing. This is just ridiculous, but I'm glad to solve it. So.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hanley versus Lewis. Step forward, please.
25-year-old landscaper Lawrence Hadley says Richard Lewis set his shirt on fire to wake him up. Lewis says Hadley had previously set off a firecracker at his feet.
Why in the world would you burn him with a cigarette lighter?
Well, it was kind of a practical joke. I wasn't intending to burn him. I was just intending to make his arm warm. It's just a gag, like a hot foot or something like that.
How old are you?
27.
Tell me how it happened.
We were waiting at my friend Scott's house here. It was after a softball game.
A what?
A softball game.
Softball game.
And we were going to go out for a couple cocktails after the game. A few people were supposed to meet us there. I fell asleep while we were waiting.
Where, in the living room?
Yeah, in the living room, in a chair in his house. I woke up. I felt or smelt something burning on my arm, and I kind of hopped up, and my shirt was on fire. And I jumped out of the chair and, started hitting my arm, and my arm was burned up, and I kind of looked around. I was in a daze. I'd just woken up, and I see him, and actually Scott was laughing too. I see him cracking up right next to me. Sort of found out that...
Did you ask him why he did that?
And he basically told me, I was trying to, get you or something like that, burn your arm or light your hair on fire, something ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I don't know, but he was still laughing up a storm about it, and I wasn't too pleased, so.
You still have a mark there?
Yeah, I do.
Can I see it, please? Step up.
Step up. It's smaller than it used to be, but it used to be about as big as a baseball.
How long ago did that happen?
4 or 5 months ago.
Did you see that, sir?
This is the first time I saw it when he showed it to you.
You want to see it? Sure.
Well, he wants some damages for your stupidity.
Well, Your Honor, it's, in all fairness, our group of friends, when someone passes out or goes to sleep, we play practical jokes on before. I know for a fact that he's done it to other people, tie people's shoelaces together. That's why I have a witness to corroborate.
Tying their shoelaces together, sir, is a far cry from using a cigarette lighter and setting somebody on fire.
Well, I wasn't intending to light him on fire.
At age
That's the whole
27.
thing.
Do you work?
Oh, yeah, I do. If I start acting like I'm 27, I'm going to be 27. If I act like a kid, I'm going to be young for the rest of my life.
What kind of work do you do?
I sell copy work and graphics work to law firms, Overflow.
It's amazing.
That sounds like a pretty responsible position, sir.
It is.
So when do you take on this infancy that you do? Just on weekends?
I like to have fun, in all fairness too. In previous, I think it was last year on 4th of July, he thought it was a cool gag to throw a firecracker at my girlfriend and I, and scared her pretty good. It pissed me off real good.
What?
And, he just laughed it off and everybody laughed, and, it was funny to him,
Anybody get hurt?
No, but,
I don't even know what he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about either. He's talking about trying to be Peter Pan for the rest of his life.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's suing you for $2,500 because he said he got burned and it hurt and it got infected.
I have a shirt too, by the way.
Let me see it.
It's kind of
That's
dirty.
pretty scary.
I haven't washed it since then, but
It's pretty scary. Did you ever say I'm sorry?
Yeah, I did.
No, he didn't.
When, just a second, when did you say I'm sorry?
At the time, I mean, we were still all laughing, so we probably didn't take it.
Who was laughing?
I was. Scott was as well.
I'm laughing too. $2,500 for the plaintiff, that's all.
Officers, step out, please.
ਸ਼ਾਹ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਅਖੇ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਰ ਲੜਾਈ ਹੈ ਕਿਸ ਦੇ ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵੋਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਏ ਓਏ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਇਸ ਵੋਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਏ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਇਹ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਇਹ ਅਖੇ ਮੋਨਾ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਬੈਲ ਮੋਨਾ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਕੇ ਆਂਦਾ ਦੱਸ ਜਾ ਯਾਰ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਬਣਦੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਬਣਦੀ ਪਈ ਦੱਸ ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਮਰੀ ਬਣਾਇਓ ਮਰੀ ਗਿਆ ਤੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਜਾ
ਵਧਣੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅਗਰ ਮੈਂ ਦਿਲ ਆਸੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਤੇ ਹੋਵੇ ਸਾਂ ਤਮਾਮ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਸੇਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਥੋੜੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਸੀ ਸਹੀ ਇਸ ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਅੱਛਾ
ਲੈਕਚਰ ਕਿਤੇ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਗਿਆ ਪਿਆ
ਬੰਦਾ ਸਹਿ ਗਿਆ
ਤੇਰੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਬਣਾਈ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਾਵੇ ਕਸਮ